This Democrat convention, where they talk about this word freedom, and yet the whole convention was largely about identity politics. The speakers were largely chosen because of their identities. The speakers were largely chosen because what they said about race, what they said about sexuality. Almost all of them talked about race. Why? Why is that? Why is the Democrat Party so focused on groupism, on fraternity? You and I, we're focused on individuality.
Want to get it off your chest? You're in the right place. They accuse this show of being run by boobs. Well, let me tell you about these boobs. We're real and we're spectacular. Want politics and fun sprinkled with a lot of laughs? Heard in every state in the Union and 770 cities around the world. We just finished 15 years of broadcast excellence. Now in our 16th year, the Dave Weinbaum Show is streaming live all over the world. Two sides of a coin make for fighting and scorn. There is love in working in groups to yearn to be controlled by government, thereby losing individual autonomy and responsibility, and you being controlled by rulers and bureaucrats who don't represent nor feel nor need to abide by anything you do or say. The other side of the coin holds that our founders had a marvelous set of rights and protections enclosed in our Constitution. It guarantees our right to pray, to vote, however we choose, pursue happiness by legal process, our rights to go to schools of our choice or even homeschool, and a right to be represented in court with a fair judge or jury. If not, we have the right to protest, legally sue those who have accused us of crime, or those who would ignore the rights given to us by our founders. Examples of others who either are many, who either collapsed its try for balanced justice, are many. Russia, China, North Korea, Venezuela, Cuba, the Dominican Republic are just a few. You say the wrong thing, and you and your family may disappear. Those on the group side, are willing to go along with that program and figure out how to survive under that system by going along with everything their government tells them to do without protest or suing. They risk their very lives on what they and their families by living, helping the state do its wantings, no matter who it hurts. Friends, family, members of your church, mosques, or synagogues. My take? What J.D. Vance said about Kamala goes for me. The rest of the mob overthrowing our government, well, they can just go to hell. Or maybe Russia. Number 2.
A colorblind society. That's what liberty means to us. You look at the Declaration of Independence, what does it talk about? There's not a word in there about race. It's about natural law, natural rights, God-given. God-given to each individual. Unalienable rights, not given to groups based on physical features or their faith or whatever it is. Unalienable rights given to each human being. Each human being has their own value, their own worth. But the Democrat Party doesn't see things that way. In fact, there's organizations that represent different ethnic groups, different racial groups, different religious groups. They don't see things that way either. What's going on?
Okay, my wife has now put up 3 fingers indicating that I didn't tell her what the 3 things were, so I'll have to do that when we have a little break sometime.
That is correct.
Yes, thank you very much for that. But welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Lisa Ann
Thank
Weinbaum.
you.
We had a little problem this morning, didn't we?
Yeah, I couldn't get into the driveway when I got here.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
There's a woman sitting right in the middle of it. She won't back up. I'm
Yeah.
blocking traffic. She's just sitting there.
Did you honk?
Well, I just kind of like sat there for a few minutes. She finally backed out of the driveway.
Well, she probably doesn't have to. She's a Kamala supporter.
Well, she's definitely kind of a Karen person.
And she she says, well, I don't have to do it unless,
And
Kamala tells me to.
The traffic at 8 o'clock is backed up like a caterpillar.
That's
all the way
why
down
I'm
the
here
roads.
earlier. That's why I have an early show. All right. Well, maybe you should get here a half hour earlier.
I would be ready half an hour
What
earlier.
happened during the monologue where I was interrupted? Wait a minute. And then you interrupted me again. I had this thing so fixed. I got to learn to get over that,
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Okay. Good. You guys ain't going to come up with anything. I can tell you that. I mean, it's one thing for her to do it. She always do it. I expect that. But JP, oh my God.
Well, so what happened was a technical snafu on my part.
Yeah.
And this is a perfect segue into our announcement that we now are on YouTube. So you can catch the Dave Weinbaum Show on YouTube. What happened was I clicked on the video so we could see the live chat on YouTube, and the volume was turned on YouTube, so I had to turn it off real fast.
Oh.
And so it was playing back.
Hopefully
on a delay.
See how easy it is?
Well, hopefully you didn't.
On that, very easy.
See how quickly it happens?
Yeah.
Hopefully you didn't turn it off on that particular showing of the Dave Weinbaum Show.
No, it was just on the showing of ours.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Time for experiments are to be maybe in having commercials.
We
or
do
what?
want to thank Aaron Weinbaum for all of his work to get our show on YouTube.
Yes, he did a lot of it. You're not going to hear a lot of music today, by the way.
He's very skilled.
Because we're very nervous about the music thing, because I always get docked with some song, and they don't even tell us which songs they are, that I put in to introduce my guest. Well, that's probably out today, except for that first opening song. We'll see what happens with that. Anyways, welcome, JP Maxwell.
Yep. Good morning.
Our friend out there, Rick Henderson. And I am your podcast host, Dave Weinbaum. And we're going to have some fun. We're going to get a lot of stuff done because I've got great guests. I'm ready today. I got great guests. We got that Mark Levin, by the way, in case you didn't recognize that voice. And he has some really interesting stuff. A lot of people say, I don't want to talk to any of our enemies. I don't want to talk to any Democrats. I don't care about them. They can all go to hell. Well, I like to figure out why they act like they do. And that's what Mark Levin has accomplished with him studying. What is it that make them think that being in a group is okay? What is it? And so it's a very interesting way of coming about it. We have our first guest coming on very shortly, John Jeffrey Bradshaw, who I see his pretty little face there. The rabbi will follow him with some really interesting stuff from Israel. And you know, the war's still going on. We still got, now the schools are open. We have the protests. Protesters are back. We have some from news about that. We have Dr. Amy Cooper Hakim to tell us how we should feel about everything. She's always a hoot. Mark and Pat McCloskey, the bravest people, possibly the best example of our constitutional rights by anyone we know, and they did it barefoot. And Jeff Zink is going to be on later, and he's going to be he's got a lot to talk about with the 1-6 situation, his son being exonerated on felony counts, and then there's that thing called the election, and what's going on in Georgia, what's going on in Arizona, for goodness sakes. Was that the seemingly Zuckerberg apology? Was that a signal that he is guilty of tampering with our election? Me think so, and me thinks I might get some maybe a hassle out of Facebook or so, because we are on Facebook. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce our first guest. He's there. He's going to be probably pissed off because I'm not playing a song today, because I don't want to take the chance of getting kicked off YouTube. All right, we got to figure out some songs, and it may not even be something that you or my other guests like, but you know, I'm going to sacrifice that. You see me sacrificing them because of me getting on YouTube, but we'll get our voices out there, I think, more. Anyway, this man is 256 years old. He goes back to the revolutionary times. He used to hang out with George Washington and Ben Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, pick up girls during the 1870s out there in Virginia, the ye old bar, the only bar in Virginia at that time. So please, I want you to welcome this guy. He's lived all this time. Usually he has a tinfoil hat to keep all that information inside his head. Today he's taking it off, so he's got some stuff to tell us. Please welcome, all the way from Rolla, Missouri, John Jeffrey Bradshaw.
Hey, thank you, Dave.
Good morning, JJ. What's going on?
Oh my, what an interesting week, Dave. I've been drowning in stuff that's coming in so fast.
Really?
I tried to make some organization out of it. This may be a little scattered today, but let's give it a try. What do you say?
Okay, we'll give it a shot.
Did you watch the CNN Kamala interview?
I watched. Yeah, I did. As a matter of fact, I watched minutes of it. I don't know if I saw it all. Yes.
Tell me what you thought of it.
What I thought of it is that she needed a She needed a babysitter.
Yes, she's
a coward. She's a coward. She doesn't know what she's doing.
I cannot stand to look at the woman or hear her, so I read the transcript this morning.
Yeah.
And my question going into that interview, which, by the way, was taped and no doubt edited, this was not done live, was, are any of the CNN folks, Dana Bash in particular, going to ask her any tough questions? And I expected a bunch of fluff. It was largely fluff.
Yeah.
There was no policy that came out of this thing. And she didn't even have to defend her terrible policies.
Well, why didn't she ask her? Why didn't she ask her, what's he doing here? Can't you do an interview by yourself?
The real question,
that should have been the first question.
The real question that I had was her reversal on so many things. If you remember, over the years, she's been for open borders. She has been against fracking. She claims our economy is good. She claims she worked at McDonald's. Although I'm sure you have the good taste to not hire someone.
I'm getting some blowback because of that. I had a guy call me yesterday. He says, "What do you know about that? What do you?" He's a guest on the show, Richard Lockwood. What do you know? I said, "What? Like I know every single employee. I don't keep the records of anyone past a couple of 2, 3, whatever it is that you do. Otherwise, I mean, look, I've been doing it for 52 years, 53 years.
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to keep all that stuff?"
I thought
Believe
it
me,
was,
I probably would have remembered her out of all the people that I don't remember, me being hiring. And I'm looking at my wife who
yes,
worked for me when she was a teenager. I don't
that was
remember
a pretty good
hiring
hire,
her.
actually.
So yeah, looking hard at me. That's right, because she hated me.
You ready for a little
Maybe she
something
still
on
does.
Kamala's reversals?
What's that?
You remember Kamala was anti-fracking.
Yeah.
She was anti-fracking a lot.
Wait.
Uh,
She's saying this stuff in 2019. That's only like
That's-
4 or 5 years ago.
That's right. And now she's okay with fracking. Well, as an interesting aside to this belligerent administration we got, August 27th, the Department of the Interior issued an edict banning oil and gas development and mining in Alaska on federal lands. This is 28 million acres, Dave, 28 million acres that by the stroke of the pen, Department of the Interior said, nope, can't drill there.
Right.
This from the administration that says, yeah, it's okay to frack. Well, the fact is, if you can't drill the wells or produce the wells, you don't need to frack. There's nothing there. You might as well start fracking water wells. This administration is headed in two directions at once all the time. Wham, two different directions. Apparently, one end doesn't pay any attention to the other end.
Well, wait a minute. Wait, I'm confused. Isn't her position now that fracking, we want fracking?
Yes, fracking is okay. The fact is, if you don't drill the wells, there's no need to frack.
Well, let me ask you another question, because I know we're going to get into a lot of this stuff. Who's in charge of the government right now?
Dear God knows. I don't know.
Okay, but she's still the vice president. Biden is still the president. Of course, he's been on vacation the last 2 weeks, like nothing's happening in the world today.
Yeah.
Okay, and so either one of them could push to get this started right now.
Absolutely.
Right? You want to make tips non-taxable? How about doing it right now?
How about the border?
You
know, you guys have been in office 3.5 years. If you wanted to do something about the border, don't promise us now. You could have done something way back when. Oh, that's right. You did something way back when. You turned over all of Trump's executive orders and opened the floodgates. Yeah. And then when the Congress came up with a so-called bipartisan bill to do something about the border, and Donald Trump says this is a terrible piece of legislation, don't pass this. Now you're criticizing him.
Of course,
that terrible piece of legislation.
They're blaming him for the whole thing now.
That terrible piece of legislation would have allowed 5,000 illegal immigrants a day cross our border. Do you guys ever read the existing laws that we have, which says you must go through the immigration process? No, we're going to order those or ignore those. And then let's just add some more legislation on top of it saying, well, we didn't enforce this law. Let's let 5,000 through. Well, thank God Trump got that thing shot down. And they've been criticizing him for that.
Sure.
This is the most senseless, abrogated administration I've ever seen in my life. And I've had a long, long life. I thought Jimmy Carter was terrible. There's nothing compared to these guys. These are lunatics. And I'll say no more about that. I'm gonna get wound up about it, and oh my. Although, well, one more thing, the bit of fluff. The lady talked about diversity of opinion and said that she would put a Republican on her cabinet. Well, hallelujah, hallelujah. Do you really think she'd pay any attention to him? Of course not, and she'll never do that.
Right.
Let's talk about Biden's open border and parole in place for a moment. The amnesty program that the so-called parole in place was blocked by Judge Campbell Becker the other day in the U.S. District Court. And it's interesting what he had to say. This parole in place, if you don't know anything about it, you haven't been keeping up with it, wives that are illegals that are married into a family here would be given amnesty if they had been here 10 years and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Well, this was done under Section 212D5 of the Immigration and Naturalization Act. And if you read that thing, that only applies to relatives of enlisted soldiers or veterans. Now, how the hell did they stretch this thing this far to say, well, okay, if you're anybody, you don't have to be a soldier, you don't have to be a veteran. I suppose as long as you're breathing.
Do you think there's a motive?
What?
Do you think there's a motive involved?
Well, of course, Dave, they want to flood us with
Pray
illegals, and they want the illegals to vote Democrat. We all know that. You and I have been preaching that for years. And now they come up with this. Well, the Biden administration knows that by the time the lawsuits get filed and the thing crunches its way through the court and finally ends up finding a judge that will place an injunction on it, the damage has already been done. You've got years of this stuff happening. And then the administration will say, okay, well, we'll rewrite this a little bit, make it more palatable, and then you can sue us again.
But by that time, they will be in charge forever because they have made so many changes. That border alone, 15 million people, some say 10, some say 20 million and more. We've already got them taking over physically the state of Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. These are people that from Venezuela that are, I'm sure, backed by the cartels. They own now 3 apartment buildings, and they booted all the rest of them or scared the rest of them out.
Yeah, and Colorado welcomed these people.
Mayor say, well, yeah, I guess that's happening.
Yeah.
And, they've threatened to kill the police, but, we're working on it. There's no sense of emergency. We've been invaded now by violent gangs who are stealing a property and will start murdering. We had a few murders here and there.
Of course.
But now we've got them taking whole parts of towns.
Yeah. And Colorado, being an amnesty state, welcomed these people in with open arms. Let's give you welfare. Let's give you a place to live. Let's give you a driver's license. Let's give you a Visa card.
And a voting right.
Oh, but of course, that goes without saying. They never mentioned the voting part of it, but you can bet they're quietly taking care of that problem. Let's talk about Donald J. Trump's laying of a wreath in Arlington Cemetery.
Yeah, let's hear about that because I've seen.
It's a very, very solemn place. And many sitting presidents and ex-presidents have been to Arlington, laying wreaths, doing various things in respect of the fallen soldier. What made this such a mess, and of course the mainstream media took it up as their banner, is some Gold Star families invited Trump there for a little ceremony on the 3rd anniversary of some Americans getting killed. It was a solemn ceremony, except somebody in Arlington decided, well, you can't have any cameras and you can't do this and you can't do that. And maybe those are the rules, but one would have thought they would have been advertised to the Trump campaign prior to. Instead, they made a tempest in a teapot out of this thing. And of course, the network news grabbed it and ran with it.
Sure.
I'm sure that the Gold Star mothers of that group were thoroughly disgusted by the activities that occurred as a result of the Biden administration's pressure. You take something that is pretty good, pretty solemn, something that ought to be treated with respect, and you turn it into a mess. Why? Because you're Democrats, you're the mainstream media, and you thrive on chaos. Trying to make Trump bad. Frankly, Trump looked pretty good in that thing. I think the Gold Star families were reasonably happy that he showed up there. So these guys.
Yet you look at something like Drudge, and oh my God, he's like the most evil person ever to exist. Was Kamala there? Was Biden there?
No,
they didn't even show up.
That's right.
And Trump, they got to figure out some way, somehow, to cripple Trump and Vance. They are really scared to death.
You bet they're scared. Well, we know what. They're scared blankless. Fill in the own blank yourself.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the SAVE Act for a moment. Now, Biden has got a SAVE Act which will suspend payments on student loans. There's a different SAVE Act that's has been in the Congress for some time. It's called Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act.
Yeah.
And that act, if passed, would have prevented non-citizens from voting. It would require voter ID on the federal level, and as such would require the states to have voter ID. Mitch McConnell, who I really don't like very much, milquetoast Mitch gets on the wrong side of things. The House Freedom Caucus is a way to get this thing in front of the public. Like I said, this piece of legislation has been hanging around a long time. They would like to attach it to a continuing resolution, which would fund the government for the next 6 months, 8 months, the continued resolution debacle. And why is Mitch against this? Because one would think that requiring voter ID, and he is in fact a Republican, one would think that this must be something that he wants to do. You know why he won't do it?
Why?
There is a thing called the John Lewis Voting Act, which the Senate Democrats brought up a long time ago. And the John Lewis Voting Act, which thankfully never saw the light of day, would allow anybody that's breathing and probably some dead people to vote. Doesn't matter if you're a citizen, doesn't matter if you're a diplomat from Russia. Anybody that happens to be here can vote. Well, of course, that thing sank in flames years ago. But Mitch is afraid that the Senate Democrats, in retaliation for this continuing resolution attachment of the SAVE Act, will bring this scummy piece of legislation up. They bluffed Mitch. They scared him off. All of us ought to be behind, put that on that continuing resolution. And if the Senate won't pass it or Biden won't sign it, shut the government down. I'm fine with that. They do much less damage when they're shut down. When they're operating business as usual, it hits us in the pocketbook. Yeah. So, Mitch, I'm ashamed of you. It's a shame you're still breathing. Should have primaried you a long time ago. You're scared of some stuff that the Senate Democrats wave at you. This crazy lunatic John Lewis Act. Give me a break, Mitch. No rational person would ever vote for that piece of crap. They managed to run you off. They scared you off. Mitch, you're senile. You need to go vacation with Joe Biden in Delaware. You're both about the same level. All right. Voting.
Okay.
Biden's 2021 executive order, and that order is 14019, encourages federal employees to get out the vote. As federal employees, they are prohibited by the Hatch Act to politic in federal facilities. What they do on their own time is fine, but if they happen to have their federal employee hat on, they're not allowed to do that. Joe Biden's executive order went directly against the Hatch Act. It is in the courts right now. But as I have said so many times on your show, Dave, the damage is always done by the time this thing gets to the appellate court level.
Cheating never seems to, always seems to outrun the race before it is even thought of getting into court.
Yeah.
Because you need evidence. In order to go to court, you actually have to gather some evidence. That's why right now we have people like Zuckerberg confessing to things he did in 2020 and 2021 and 2019.
That amazes me, Dave. I never thought he'd come clean on that. Never.
He's a little nervous right now. No, richest man in the world and all that, but he might be facing some big charges. And for him to stand alone to take those charges, he has wisely blamed the government under the Democrats.
Well, it is the government.
Under the CIA and things like that have them being the bad guys, and he's a scared little guy just implementing it.
It could cost him some bucks. He's got a few.
It could cost him some legal problems.
I think it will. For him to admit that he was in collusion with the Biden Democrat government and the Obamas before that. I mean, come on, this goes way, way back. This censorship among big tech and the big media We all knew it was there. We never saw conservative stories. All we ever saw was lambasting the conservatives. And particularly over COVID, Dave, I know you get an erection over COVID because it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And
talk about my erections on air.
Very well.
Thank you.
You get flaccid over COVID.
Okay. Need we still go there on the other end?
Okay, we won't.
Can we leave that part of our bodies alone?
YouTube will probably censor this, but it wouldn't surprise me if Facebook was already doing it.
I first stay on YouTube, and here, look at us.
You know, it's a big deal over COVID because
my wife's going to censor it now.
The government, and with the help of Zuckerberg and his other zombie buddies, suppressed an awful lot of COVID stuff that would have made a difference in the lives of Americans, and did so with impunity. And now the guy's coming back and saying, well, I feel kind of bad about that. Maybe we shouldn't have done that. Do you think? Do you think maybe censorship is a bad idea?
I don't believe he's being honest because he's just telling about it now. And I think he's starting to feel the heat of maybe a Trump administration and maybe a Congress that's going to be a lot more Republican than it is blue right now, and that they might be willing to have an investigations.
Yes.
And investigations sometimes, they come to having things like indictments. And legal problems. And I think that's something he might be cognizant of.
And he should be concerned. Dave, I got a Second Amendment parting shot for you, and it's a pretty short one.
Let me duck.
For several years.
Bullet right in my right ear. What does that mean?
I think I missed.
No, I think I'm blessed by God.
Well, maybe you are. I hope you are.
I hope I am. I hope you are too.
For many years, California has had a one gun a month rule. This was actually passed through the legislature in Sacramento, signed into law. As a citizen of California, you can buy no more than one gun of any kind a month. That is legal purchases. Now, you can buy one out of the trunk of Guido's car, or 10 or 50, it doesn't matter. But those of us who are legal people, one a month. The Ninth Circuit, which is the biggest bunch of wackos in the judicial system, believe it or not.
They're located in California, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
They cover California
and
some other states. But the Ninth Circuit has had a couple of conservatives appointed to it by Trump. And believe it or not, the Ninth Circuit struck down California's one gun a month law. And what was so interesting about that is I watched some of the tape of the arguments of that thing. And one of the justices said, well, this is entirely arbitrary, isn't it? Could it be one gun a month or one gun a year or one gun a lifetime? Isn't this completely arbitrary? And the fellow that was espousing California's side of this thing was just, kind of like Kamala Harris. It sounded like a car backfiring because nothing came out of his mouth that made any sense. I loved it, Dave. That was 10 minutes worth of tape I think I'll play over and over again. Whoops.
What the hell was that? Is that it? Are you playing it? See, now YouTube is going to take me off because of your music.
Sorry, that was my ringtone. You recognize the music.
Yes, I do.
Sorry, I should have turned that down.
All right. Are we getting
okay, Dave. We're done for today. I have taken erection and flaccid to a brand new level, and congratulations to you.
Yes, you have. Hey, let's look at some of these. I got to run a commercial right now because my wife is so demanding. I got to get her some stuff she didn't ask for earlier. Well, anyhow, let's hear it for my opening act, John Jeffrey Bradshaw.
God bless you, Dave. Talk to you Friday.
Appreciate you. Thanks. Okay, so I think now is the time we got to go to commercial because my demanding wife now wants me to do something I could have done earlier today. But I'm going to do it now because it'll make her feel better, I'm pretty sure.
I already made up 2 of them myself.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about it. Let's go to...
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments, that's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Honey, what are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing?
It looks like you're filling up a swimming pool.
Yep, I'm filling up a swimming pool.
In our living room?
How else am I going to watch the game and stay cool?
If your AC is on the fritz, call Hartley's Climate Control. Hartley's is the area's best in HVAC repairs, installs, and maintenance. Knowledgeable, honest, and dependable. Serving Rolla and the surrounding areas for commercial or residential needs. Hartley's Climate Control. Community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about koi sushi and hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese-Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri.
We can sum up McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich in one word. Crispy, but also juicy and tender. Okay, it's crispy, juicy, tender, all one word. But then, also pickle. Oh, and potato bun, which is two words. Okay, we can't sum up our new crispy chicken sandwich in one word, so you'll just have to try it to understand it. Order ahead on the McDonald's app at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Merrill's Quarry and Asphalt, 40 years serving cities, counties, and everyday businesses with driveways for people who live and work in our little piece of heaven right smack dab in the middle of America. Call 573-578-9101 for your free estimate of rocking, rolling, paving, driveways, sealing, and striping too. That's 573-578-9101 for your free estimate.
Your home is your castle, you don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments, that's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day. Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our number one goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
At your locally owned Price Chopper, our standards are high because we know yours are. See for yourself what an incredible fresh selection of grocery items we have in store. Talk to our expert meat associates about what you're looking for. They're happy to meet any special requests like custom cuts, or see our expert produce associates on how to pick out the best fruits and vegetables. Quality in the deli means fresh, full flavor, and always delicious. If you're craving fresh, baked goodness, we have that too. You can expect the best selection and the best value while interacting with our friendly and knowledgeable employees. You can find what you're looking for fast and easily at the best prices at Price Chopper. Fresh savings every day. A-Car Real Estate, where experience matters. 532 million sold since 2003, the number one sales volume in Phelps County. As a client for decades, I can say they are the best in mid-Missouri. Call 573-368-7355. That's 573-368-7355 for the best real estate experience you'll ever have. Gotta reach 'em, see it right now. Insurance going up like crazy? Daniel and Henry Insurance is one of the largest private insurance companies in the world. Richard Boyette, 314-444-5011. He's my guy at Daniel and Henry for 10 years. Business or personal, call Richard at 314-444-5011. He's the best.
Maybe it's for a kitchen you've always wanted. Maybe it's just to have a little extra room. Whatever the reason you're considering a new home loan, it's good to know that Town & Country Bank will guide you in the right direction. Our experienced local lenders are here to help you with a new home construction, remodeling projects, and fixed and adjustable rate home loans. You can even start the process online by clicking Online Mortgage Center at tcbanks.com. Smart, friendly solutions. Town & Country Bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Ladies and gentlemen, wartime Rabbi. He turns dollars from us into necessities for the IDF, modern helmets, even knee pads. And he organizes the widows of IDF soldiers into groups so they don't have to go through this alone. Please welcome all the way from Israel, Rabbi Moshe Rothschild. Hi, Rabbi. I know you noticed there isn't a song, and I'm sorry, but I'm on YouTube right now, and I don't know which song. I think they have actually objected to that song that I used, and I've used that song for 14 years, just about, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, well, I've got to figure out I don't want to get kicked off right away. So
you're on YouTube now?
Yeah. How about that?
Okay.
All right. And we're showing your book right now, Secrets of the Hebrew Bible.org, where you can also get it. Is that correct?
That is 100% correct. Yep.
Thank you. So the IDF rescues a Bedouin hostage. This is a very interesting situation, and he was taken hostage by Hamas, and he's a Muslim, isn't he?
Yes, he's a Muslim.
He's got 11 kids, and he testified witnessing a murder of an older Jew, Zalmanich, they became very good friends in captivity. He was an Israeli. And so was the Bedouin hostage. He's an Israeli, and he's a proud Israeli.
Yes,
and he's for Israel, and it's just incredible. He's a Muslim for Israel. How does that equate to what's going on in the world today?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Israel haters don't know what to do with that exactly, because they love to accuse us of being an apartheid state, and this totally destroys that narrative when you have Jews all over the world, and particularly in Israel, cheering the fact that we rescued a hostage who happened to be a Muslim.
Yeah.
And how did the haters sort of fit that into their narrative? It doesn't make sense, because we're supposed to be, of course, an apartheid country that oppresses Arabs, but
they can't afford to put that in their narrative. They won't even recognize 10/7 now. When it was reported, actually, in the beginning by Hamas themselves taking the pictures.
Right. And there's a lot of, it's coming up, in a little bit more than a month. And I already know that there's a lot of Israel haters are planning all kinds of things for that day to commemorate Hamas and so on and so forth, which is unbelievable. Imagine, it's unimaginable, but imagine 9/11 a year later and people siding with Al Qaeda. I mean, it's just absolute insanity. It's because it's Jews, we know it.
And it's not just against Israel; it's against the United States of America.
It's against the West.
And the poison ivies have just started, and they're getting it right now. Cornell University had big riots on opening day of school. Apparently, the Penn State dean or president, who had left Penn State, quit because she wouldn't recognize what was going on with the anti-Semitism. Well, now she's been hired by Harvard. Okay, it's also, it's not just them. A lot of the teachers, a lot of the professors, are in on this. Are in on this Jewish, Jewish hatred.
Yeah,
Anyways,
we had a little bit of a break from that for the summer when the schools weren't in session, but it's coming back now.
Yeah,
and I think it's going to be worse than it was.
Yeah.
And I don't think the schools are prepared. You know what happened in, I think I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned on the show, in Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates, at a graduation there was someone who held up like and supported the Palestinians. And you know what they did? The country, they deported them.
Yeah, they
deported them
in an Arab country.
Yeah, that's all they need to do here. Is the IV say, if they said we are expelling you, and it's going to be on your permanent record, and they can end these if they just get rid of these students.
Let them out within an hour, no matter what they did. So Iran's leader Khamenei is willing now to talk to us about nukes, make a deal maybe. While Biden's still there, is Iran ready to make a deal? Maybe, I don't know what's going on there, or is this a trick? Is it a stalling?
I think they are watching very carefully the U.S. elections, and they know if Trump gets in there, they have no chance, and so they want to cut a deal now, while Sleepy Joe or Trader Joe is in there, and he is going to, of course, bend over backwards to do something stupid in favor of Iran, and give them whatever they want. So I think they would be very wise to try to cut a deal with Trader Joe than wait and take their chances and see what happens.
You gotta get him off the beach, and so far they can't drag this guy off the beach. Now he's in the second week of a vacation, like nothing's happening out there. I think he's pissed off. I think he's pissed off personally.
Well, right. It's like when you come back to school after the summer and they ask you, how was your summer vacation? I don't think he's going to want to talk about it.
Well, I think he's really. I think they kept it secret from him what was going on, and when Schumer came and told him, I think it's time to go. I think that's when it hit him. Anyway,
I think he's declining, very, very fast.
So Israel found information indicating a tunnel beneath Unwar headquarters, where that's the UN headquarters, where Hamas had military intel. Is this a big deal? There's still 108 hostages still in Gaza.
Like it is a big deal, but after 10 months of this, and we've had plenty of big deals and demonstrating left and right what the United Nations, the UNRWA has been doing, siding with Hamas and having teachers that are part of Hamas. Like, of course, it's a big deal, but no one seems to care except Israel. It's it doesn't faze anybody anymore. The fact that we find weapons and all kinds of stuff. Now, we are still, and we will continue to hunt down hostages. So when we find intel like this,
go ahead.
It was a good week, as far as hostages are concerned. We got some back, unfortunately not alive, but the reality is that we'll just do whatever we have to do to get them back. And
getting them back dead is something. But come on,
it gives the families closure.
Jerks killing people and calling them hostages at the same, holding dead bodies hostages. What kind of cruel?
Right. It's not even it's not even the hostages they brought and killed in Gaza. They took dead bodies from Israel on October 7th and brought them back into Gaza.
They did?
We're helping a woman. There's a widow that we're helping. Her husband was killed on October 7th.
Yeah.
And they brought the bodies as hostages. There's quite a few like that.
So Saudi Arabia apparently our so-called friends are backing that Netanyahu should be arrested.
Yeah. Look, one of the goals of this war was to create a wedge between Israel and Saudi Arabia. And sadly, that has happened. We would have had a deal with Saudi Arabia a while ago had this not happened. And these aren't, all these developments they're not good for ultimately some kind of reconciliation between Israel and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So, that was not good news this week.
So now Israel tour guides, and you are a tour guide too, right?
Yeah.
You're not taking. Are you okay? Are you just sleepy or what? You're not getting any sleep lately or what?
It's always I teach classes on Thursday night, so I'm always tired on Friday. It's the end of the week. We're before Shabbat. Shabbat is a day of rest. So.
All right, because you were like this last week too. You were
2 weeks ago.
You were on last week.
Yeah, but I wasn't tired. Last week I took a nap in the morning.
Oh, okay. Anyways, I get worried about you. I do.
Thank you.
So Israel tour guides are going to take tours to Temple Mount. Are you going to arm tourists or what? This is going to be
you can't even go up there armed. But look, I've been so busy with everything I'm doing, helping soldiers with the widows, and there's no tourists, so it's not like there's much you can do as far as tourism, and I don't see it coming back, not before November. We're going into September and then the Jewish holidays. I think after that, maybe November. But who knows what's going to happen between.
Well, this
now
is one
and
of
then.
the longest wars, if not the longest, Israel has ever had.
There, the War of Independence. The War of Independence lasted about a year and 3-4 months. So we're getting close to that. We're getting close.
So Yaya Sinwar is dressing as a woman, and now the Jerusalem Post is saying that he's pretty well just done.
Yeah, he's trying to negotiate. Part of the ceasefire is that they won't kill him. But he's really he's done. He's going to have to spend however many days he has left, and I hope it's not many, in hiding. Yeah, and and he has no future, and he knows that.
And by the way, is he just one of the leaders of Hamas or the leader of Hamas?
Well, they appointed him after we assassinated Sinwar, so he took over.
Was brother, right?
Not Sinwar, sorry. Hania, Ishmael Hania. It was not his brother. But he, after we assassinated him in Iran, he was the political head of Hamas. So Sinwar took his place. That's not a coveted job at this point. It's as soon as you take that job, you have a target on your back.
Yeah. I just read the Jerusalem Post this morning looking for last minute things, and I think you killed another leader somewhere.
We did, we did, and in Jenin we killed another Hamas leader, and there's been a lot of activity here in Judea and Samaria, or what the world calls the West Bank, because we realized that if we don't, learn the lessons of October 7th and address the terrorists that are in Judea and Samaria now, we could have a repeat of October 7th.
It's about time. This is a total reversal of strategy. And I believe Israel brought this upon themselves because they didn't take it as seriously as they should have. Am I wrong?
They misjudged Hamas. They had assessments that were just fictional. They weren't real. and we got fooled. And the only thing is that I'm concerned about is that you learn the lessons, but the question is, what happens in another 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Do those lessons get forgotten? And like the lessons of the Yom Kippur War of 1973, did we forget them and allow something like this, to happen because, we're not on guard?
I'm not trying to, pat myself on the back, but that's what we talked about. October 6th was the Yom Kippur War. Could that happen again?
Yeah.
And bingo.
Look, it's a problem everywhere. When you have freedom-loving countries, in the West, we tend to believe that other people would like that as well. And when 9/11 happened in the U.S., that was, a wake-up call. Things changed a lot in the U.S. And I just hope, like, for example, closing the border is something that it's insane that Kamala Harris and the Democrats don't understand that if you don't close the border, you're going to eventually allow terrorists to walk right into your country.
Well, you know what's going on in Colorado, in Denver, where I went to college.
Yeah.
They've taken over Venezuelan immigrants, illegal immigrants, have taken over 3 apartment buildings in the Denver area, the Denver metro area, and it is a sanctuary state. However, the governor and the mayor don't seem to be that touch. These guys are walking around with R-15s or A-15s, whatever they call them, and they're banging on doors of apartments. And if
we
there's
just
no answer,
don't learn the
they
lessons.
cut the lock and they take over the apartment.
Yeah, we don't learn the lessons.
Is that not an invasion?
Yeah, I'm saying, because I think the mentality of the West, freedom-loving countries like Israel, like the United States, we tend to, we let our guards down because we think people are good and we have that, but they know, the enemies know that they have time on their side because we lose patience.
Well,
and that's what happens.
In the sense of what Donald Trump is trying to do, you can, and his way of doing it is tough, being tough, but going for situations that are going to foster peaceful things happening, and that can work, but it may or may not last, and you shouldn't be surprised that when hell goes into the handbasket once again.
Right. Peace comes from strength, not from capitulation and weakness.
That's right. Never have.
That's right. That's what history's taught us, but unfortunately, people don't learn the lessons of it.
History is all about one facing the other, and soon one attacks the other, and the other one moves back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Can't do it based on what I got with this camera, but you understand, they move back instead of moving forward towards them. And eventually they get the idea. The other side wants nothing to do with battling them, and they can just take them over. And it works a lot. That's probably the way the whole world has been forever.
Look at Chamberlain in World War II. He wanted just to appease and give in and so on. But it never works. And then you have to pay the piper down the line. And there's a lot more pain down the line if you wouldn't had you not just confronted it initially.
So on a better note, UCLA drops the appeal of federal court that it failed Jewish students. So they're caving in now to understanding that that you don't ignore anti-Semitism, and you do something about it. Now, what they're going to do, I don't know, but they're not going to appeal anymore. So they've caved in.
Right. That is right. What they're going to do about the anti-Semitism, we don't know. But at least they're not fighting the judgment,
Yeah, and Biden's baffling boat dock in Gaza, that botching boat dock, whatever it was, that is. Why do you think that happened? What's going on? There's about $400 million that went into this, and it sank or something off of the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
What was he trying to do? I don't get it.
Well, I think he was trying to go around Israel. He was trying to directly be able to provide aid and control the situation. And it was an utter failure. Pieces broke off and flowed away. It was a waste of hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, it's a disgrace, but it's something I think that went underreported in the news.
Yeah. Oh, it did. Hey, let me play one thing for you. Play the next clip in play Rudy Giuliani, the first clip in Giuliani. Okay.
I know the one place we got a fair hearing was the Georgia legislature. No one wants to read the report from Senator Litton after 132 witnesses that Trump won Georgia.
You were just
over 10,000 votes.
You were actually disbarred for arguing this in New York and suspended in D.C. and probably will be disbarred in D.C. if not already for arguing this.
Yes, I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed to argue the best view of the case for my client, which is they should be disbarred for that. The rule I have followed as a lawyer, which is 50 years of ethical conduct, never a complaint to the Bar Association about my misconduct. I litigated in the most contentious place in America, where if you don't have a Bar Association complaint, you're probably not doing your job. I don't know what I did. And I prosecuted, I would say, and you can dispute me if you want, I prosecuted the worst criminals of the 20th century. I do not think you'll find a more successful prosecutor in the United States of America.
Why have you been disbarred in New York, in your opinion?
Because Joe Biden and his family particularly and unusually despise me. Why? You would too, if you were as crooked as they are. For years, I told you I met Joe in 1981. He was introduced to me by my chief of staff as, you got to go over and meet him. He's the ranking Democrat on the Senate committee. Your job as Associate Attorney General is to get 170 U.S. attorneys and U.S. marshals nominated and approved by the Senate in 1 year. He's the kind of guy you can swing over. He's bipartisan. One thing to warn you about. You can't believe how dumb this guy is. Nicest guy, dumb as hell. But he's the nicest guy, great jokes. But you are going to come away with a lot of meetings with him saying, how can somebody be that stupid? I know it's a joke. It's not meant to be. All of what I just told you is absolutely true. So I always thought of him as a chameleon. Not evil, but he'll do anything the party. If the party puts in front of him, say that Star Wars is terrible, which turns out, of course, to be the savior of Israel. That's Iron Dome. Joe Biden was the biggest opponent of Star Wars. That's probably one of the dumbest things to have opposed. I once sat down and tried to explain to him, because I liked him. We would go to have drinks together, eat together.
So I was really gearing towards that particular clip.
It's a long clip.
Huh?
It's a long clip.
Well, it was 3 clips, actually. I was trying to get to that. He finally figured out where it was. JP did. So that's Joe Biden for you. And I've been saying it all along. The guy is stupid. He's corrupt, but he's really stupid.
And he's a liar.
He's a liar. Yeah, absolutely. And no way this guy won that presidency back in. And all these guys getting punished with that stupid lawfare. Trump getting indicted again by the same guy who just got thrown out of the Supreme Court for the same thing, and he's going to like different things, and it's outrageous what they're trying to do. It's killing this country.
Yeah.
All right. Other than Dave, go ahead. Do you have any more comments about that? Is your dog drinking something?
No, my dog's not even in the room.
We're
Oh,
getting
there she is.
something like somebody licking up water or something.
Oh, I don't know.
What the hell's happening? Ah, there it is right there. I knew I'd catch you eventually. Okay, so other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find and contribute?
They can go to our website, IsraelAlliance.org, or our Facebook page, Facebook.com/Israel Alliance. We'd love to hear from you.
So I asked after a golf after a golf tournament, I asked my caddy what I owed him. He said, an apology. How was that bad? All right. That wasn't my joke. I found it somewhere else, but it was.
Okay. Well, the other day I was going to have breakfast, and they said, "Well, how do you like your eggs?" I said, "I like them in a cake."
What?
I said, "I like them in a cake."
In a cake?
Oh, to make cake.
To make cake?
How they're prepared.
Okay.
Said, how do you like your eggs?
I'm giving him crickets on that one. Come on. You're going to be funnier. There you go. See, if I get the crickets, you got to get them too. So anyway, Shabbat Shalom. Get some sleep. Get some sleep.
You got it. Take care.
Don't sleep. Okay. I was going to say gracias to the rabbi. Okay. He'll understand. His grandmother's from Cuba, I think. Anyways, we're back on the show. There's no music. I don't like this no music. Let's go to the board. Good morning from Rico Camino, friend of Rick Henderson's. Shannon Reed, good morning and happy Labor Day weekend. That's what I forgot to say. Labor Day weekend. By the way, did I mention McDonald's is open on Labor Day weekend? Come visit us. Anyways, that was from Shannon Reed. Did I get that whole thing? No, I didn't. She said, stay safe and God bless. We got to include God in there. That's our big problem in this country. We don't include God. All right. What else? Any? That's it. If you want to call the show, 573-578-2700. Do I have any clips on Rumble?
Let's see. That's YouTube.
Is it? That was YouTube?
This was YouTube. Yep.
Really? Yep. Wow. So hi, YouTube. Hello.
That's Rumble.
Yeah.
No comments on Rumble.
All right. Well, contact the show. They're all getting ready to, they're all packing and stuff to go on this marvelous automobile trip to wherever, the lake. It's still going to be hot in this area, isn't it, Lisa?
It's supposed to cooling down next week, I think.
Yeah.
What he said.
Yep.
Okay. Try to include me more in the show, why don't you? Okay, I'm trying.
I'm working over here.
I know. I forgot to ask the rabbi if any Ben and Jerry scoops or rants. Well, I don't know why I use Ben and Jerry. They're really anti-Semitic Jews. They hate Israel for some reason. I don't know. But anyways, you call up. You leave us a message on.
So we have a couple different ways.
Yeah,
you can do it on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble, and now also on YouTube.
So the FBI is stonewalling the Trump assassination investigation. And there were some comments the other day. Oh, yeah, that would be a good thing to get on there. Crook's body is hidden from examination. So that's being most of the stuff on that report is redacted. They're supposedly going to go in front of the Congress. By the way, here's something for you. U.S. loses track of unaccompanied children in the Biden administration. 320,000 of them. They don't have track of 320,000 children. Well, guess what they're used for? Okay, for sex, for human deprivation, women as well. And this is the Biden administration. Remember when AOC came over and was on her knees crying about the beast that put these children in jail on the border, and there was nothing there. Nothing there. Nothing behind where the fence was. She was BSing everybody, and she's still doing it today.
And what about the children that Hamas killed and tortured and all that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but that never gets brought up.
Well, yeah. Well, you just brought it up, and it's the mainstream media doesn't want to touch it. You can tell the mainstream media. You can tell by one word usually. One word seems to go, and they have to say it for some reason. These are people. These people are not journalists. They're bureaucrats sent out by the government to say what they want to hear. Because when they say everybody is weird, remember that? It's weird. It's weird. He's weird. They're weird. And it's like every one of them say the same word. Can't they differentiate? Well, he's a little screwy. He's
like
a little nuts.
Like it comes off a script, you know.
You have to say it. You have to say that exact word. And I guess you get a good job done, check, versus a bad job done. And why are these people such cowards? I don't understand. Why are you in the business of being journalists if you don't want to be journalistic? Okay, it's an outrage. So yeah, play that clip that we had. This is very interesting. I want you guys to listen to this.
Yeah, I'm going to put it into a presenter mode so I can go ahead and share this. But yeah, this is it's kind of another way just to kind of look at things. I think it really brings...
think about it. Think about how much control your government should have.
On a hotel with 2,000 beds, right? Okay. We want to know out of the 31 days this month times 2,000 beds, that's 60,000 times that these beds could have been rented. How many times were they rented? We were at 89%. Can we get it to 92%? We need people staying in our hotel to make money. The business model of a hotel isn't to have only 10% of the rooms being used. So what's the business model of hospitals?
It must be totally different, right?
Right. So we need those beds to be filled. And by the way, do you know what's the number one industry of the most money they did last year? Energy, oil. You know, that's only $500 billion. You know what's number one? Hospitals. Yeah. $1.5 trillion. Hospital models, I need sick people. Big pharma models, I need new diagnosis. A contractors model, military contractor, I need war. Mainstream media, what do I need? Controversy, conflict, chaos. When you actually look at the business model of what these guys are doing, they need chaos and problems to keep making money. Just say you and I own a hotel with 2,000 beds.
Out there beginning to catch on to what the pandemic really did to us, what was happening behind the scenes, why it was accepted by our government as something that we could order people around to do, to take control of the people and their health decisions, so that even one side of the population, the Democrats and liberals, would point fingers at, and not all of these people were liberals. Some were conservatives. Why would we point fingers at people who didn't want to do what the government told them to do? It's not in the Constitution that says you have to take a damn shot. And I'm getting a little excited because millions of Americans have been damaged by these untested vaccines. Now, we're not talking about the flu shots. The flu shots were tested. The untested ones go to a man-made disease in Wuhan labs in China. They did it on purpose, and they spread it on purpose. Am I wrong?
No, and meanwhile, you notice this is what we've heard from Dr. Fauci.
Yeah.
Nothing. He retired.
You know why he can't? He can't right now. Why? Because he's got COVID.
Probably so.
And he's had the shots, and he's had boosters.
We know a lady personally who has had the vaccine, had all the boosters, started feeling ill. My wife said, hey, according to your symptoms, you might want to get a COVID check. Sure enough, COVID positive.
Yeah, and we were promised. I remember Dr. Mark Siegel saying this, and Fauci. All you need to do is take one shot. That's it. That's it. It cures the problem. Wow.
And then it was 2. And then it was, now you need your boosters.
Wow.
It just kept changing.
And then Biden got it after he's claiming that he took, 5 or 6. I don't believe he took anything, personally. I don't believe anybody from Congress took anything. So, all right. Let's see where we have more commercials to do.
We have another set, yeah.
Yeah. Why don't we? Well, let's do some more clips. We didn't do anything funny yet, for God's sakes. How about Jimmy Walker? Let's do him.
The easiest scandal to follow was the Trump document scandal. That was the one that was easy to follow. It was simple. There's some stuff that's supposed to be in the White House that ain't. And the media, y'all did y'all's job. Y'all jumped on that story. As soon as the Trump document story broke, everybody was down in Mar-a-Lago. We're reporting live from the documents, and we're gonna find them. And then we found out Joe Biden had documents too, and it was like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Everybody got documents. Mike Pence had some documents. Who care about it? Oh, look, a Chinese spy balloon. Would you look at that? Ooh.
Today marks my first State of the Union address to you, a constitutional duty as old as our republic itself. President Washington began this tradition in 1790 after reminding the nation that the destiny of self-government and the preservation of the sacred fire of liberty is finally staked on the experiment entrusted to the hands of the American people. For our friends in the press who place a high premium on accuracy, let me say, I did not actually hear George Washington say that.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you guys think. Call the show 573-578-2700 and get it off your chest and maybe save America and the world. Okay. You get enough listeners, maybe we can make a difference. And by the way, get out the vote. When is early voting, Lisa?
You have until October 10th to register to vote in this election.
Yeah.
And I don't have the dates for the early voting.
We looked it up. It was 6 weeks prior to the election. So I think it put it either late September, maybe the first Tuesday of October, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you got to know that the other side is
at least here in Missouri.
The other side is cheating already. I know there's cheating going on in Arizona. And we're going to have, by the way, I want to remind you, we got some great guests coming up. We've got Dr. Amy Cooper Hakim coming up in a little while. And after her, we've got the McCloskeys, and they're both lawyers. And we can talk a lot about what's going on with Trump. Rudy Giuliani, who was just on the show, he's got a story. Rudy Giuliani, he was considered to be the best prosecutor of all time, the best mayor ever in New York City. And look what they've done to him. Look what they've done to him because he objected to the Georgia election. And guess what? It was fixed. And you know who was involved or is rumored to have been involved what is her name? Her last name is Willis. I'll never forget the name Willis. Fannie Willis was involved in the cheat. She's the prosecutor there. Okay?
So this would be an interesting question, maybe for the McCloskeys, because this would be a legal question.
Yeah.
Since they went after Giuliani about the case on the Georgia election, and now they have come out and said Trump won Georgia in 2020. Is that enough to get him an acquittal?
That's a good question because I think what happens is the judge that judged this now transferred to another judge in D.C. So, this is how they're working that. This is what's happening to this country. We're getting people who want one party to survive forever and become part of the group, part of the loyalty to the group. Play the clips from Levin, please.
You and I talk about individual liberty, the Constitution, free will, the importance of separation of power so there's not a concentration of centralized power, the importance of representative government, not little d democracy, so you don't have mobocracy. You don't have mobocracy, so people can't vote by majority to destroy your unalienable rights. The Constitution is a magnificent balance in order to protect the individual. Government doesn't exist to get more powerful, to get more centralized, to rejigger society or to re-engineer the human person. Government exists to protect the civil society, the social contract. We're more concerned about the protection of the individual, free will, unalienable rights, than the Democrat Party, or even more than the left. Why is that? Why is that? Within the Democrat Party has constructed a political environment that is based on putting people into groups and then trying to unite those groups, whether it's an economic group, a racial group, an ethnic group, whatever it is. Group identity.
Okay, that was Mark Levin, and that's what we're facing here. You know, it doesn't mean anything to know your enemy, to know that he is your enemy for whatever reason he has, and whatever evil device he uses. It's not necessary to necessarily know him. It's not going to make you like him. But I think it's important to want to know why. Why are they doing this? Haven't you just sat back and said to yourself, why would they want to cheat in an election and think it's okay? You know, they took a poll. It's like 68% of the Democrats think it's fine to go and cheat in an election. Might even be more. And it's the complete reversal for the Republicans. We don't think it's okay. Now, there have been cases where Republicans have broken the law, but as a group, Democrats really do favor stealing elections and think there's nothing wrong. There's nothing illegal about it for them. All right. And they got judges that'll protect them. And they got judges on their side that will, judges and prosecutors that will prosecute people like Donald J. Trump. You can see it all over the place. You know, the guy didn't have any legal problems until recently, you know, until after his presidency is when he got all this attention from liberal courts, liberal judges in places like Georgia and places like D.C. And some people even coming out of Biden's DOJ. Jack Smith is a good example of that. So this is the way it is now, and Democrats think that's okay to do. They hate Donald Trump that much. You know what? I don't think they can repeat anything that is true that Donald Trump did wrong. You can speculate on certain things. Why did he do this? Why did he do that? But, I don't think his motives can be challenged. He wants America first decisions. And he has made a lot of great decisions. Did you see any wars happening while Donald Trump was president? He stopped a few. And did you see things like Afghanistan? The murder of 13 U.S. military in that country, and I believe there's a hostage or two still there. There's hostages left in Israel that are United States citizens. So, but Trump, his motives are pure. Biden's motives were tainted, not just tainted, but corrupt. And they got the goods on him. And if they ever, I believe there's a lot of Democrats. There's a lot of people in the intel services, the FBI, the CIA, the DOD, that are very nervous right now because of the illegal things they've been doing. And we may just find out with John F. or R.F. Kennedy's his going to Donald Trump and backing Donald Trump. We might just find out that what happened in the Kennedy assassinations. His father and John F. Kennedy were assassinated. And here, what happened in the assassination attempt? Was this a government setup? It sure sounds like it. The FBI saying they didn't find any other killers. They didn't find any other people. But do you trust them? Can you trust them right now? The FBI is not to be trusted, and they did it to themselves. When that thing came out about the search of Donald Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago and the various places where Biden had been keeping documents since he was like a senator, okay, to a vice president, to being a private citizen, he still had these classified documents all over the place. And in spots where in the garage, he threw them in the garage. And he was found that was true. And some guy who was a Republican, they said that he said that he did not indict Joe because he's a compromised older person. Well, that doesn't work for me. That's not what he's supposed to do. That's not his job to make that kind of a decision. If he broke the law, damn it, he ought to be indicted, and let the jury and the judge figure out whether or not they're going to have mercy on him. In the meantime, you're taking Donald Trump down. He did nothing wrong. Nothing. He stole nothing. He went by the procedure. He went exactly the way the FBI wanted him to go, and yet was tried for this because he protested on the fact that he was immune as the president, and he was. And the Supreme Court backed him. All right. What did you want to say, JP? Did you want to say something?
I was going to.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to update you on the early voting. It actually varies by state, and you can go to vote.org to find out the particulars for your state. There are states that don't even have early voting. This doesn't refer to absentee or anything, but Missouri offers in-person, no excuse absentee voting at locations designated by local county election authorities starting the second Tuesday before Election Day. So that would be October 22nd, and that ends the day before election. So that doesn't include the mail-in absentee. That's the in-person.
Other news.
The mail-in is probably earlier.
Thank you, dear. Appreciate that.
Vote.org.
Huh?
Vote.org.
Go to vote.org.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your state.
Great. So Murda, remember this guy was convicted in Georgia. He's a lawyer, and he was convicted of killing several members of his family, including his wife. And it may be reversed or maybe have another new trial because there was jury tampering, according to some jurors. They wanted a guilty plea, and it was done by an official in the court. And I'm not sure exactly who it was. I think it was a woman, but they pushed the jurors, and you're not supposed to do this, other than what they hear in the courtroom, into voting for guilty plea, and the Murdaugh's trial may be reversed because of that, because two of them are now saying one was kicked off because they couldn't convince her and they couldn't find out what she was thinking about it. She resisted. And the other one is talking about it as if they kind of forced her into it. So that's a pretty interesting thing. And for Atlanta, now we got to get, we have to get, by the way, are you looking for Dr. Amy?
Yeah, and she messaged me yesterday saying she got the link. So
Oh, good. All right. So hopefully she'll be on pretty soon. That happens sometimes. You have a link, it doesn't work. It's like I get a new car now because I blew up the other one. Anyways, and I'm trying to figure out all the stuff you need to know, and it's tough. And it's a used car.
Yeah, new to you. It's a 21, but it still has so much technology.
Yeah. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I've got forward looking. I've got around the car like cameras. I don't know how they do that.
I don't either.
You know?
I don't either. It's pretty
Because
amazing.
I said, how do you do that? And they say, well, it's some way of pretending that your car is there. They have a picture of that, but somehow they can get a surrounding area to take pictures of things that are not within the realm of your particular car. It's outside the car.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it.
It's like some fancy GPS or something.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. It's going to take me a while to figure this out. That's for darn sure. So, anyways, we're going to keep going down our list
today, so that's a pretty good start.
I did. Yeah, I'm getting better. I know a few things. So I know where to put the radio and stuff like this. Anyways, the anti-Israel protesters, the anti-Semitic protesters, you're anti-Israel. In my opinion, you are anti-Semitic. And you want to prove me wrong? Go ahead. Anti-Israel, anti-Semitic. In my mind, they're equal. Cornell protesters are vandalizing the college building in protest. All in Ivy colleges, they are advised by teachers. Oh my God! Look who's here. Okay, all right. We're going to play her song or not? I don't want to take the chance. All right, and she's going to be mad now.
Unless she's copyrighted.
Oh my God, is she going to be mad? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have our next guest, and she is a motivational speaker. She's an author, and she's a psychologist, a singer, and I want to play her song right now. It's my first day on YouTube, and we have been like stymied a few times by whatever music we're playing. I don't even know which ones they are, so we're not going to play her song, and I love her song. Ladies and gentlemen, a lover of social media, the official shrink to the Dave Weinbaum Show, and me too. Please welcome all the way from Boca Raton, Dr. Amy Cooper. I know it's not the same. It's not the same with me playing that beautiful song and the way you sing it and stuff. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to stay on the air.
No problem.
You're too good. See, you're too good, and therefore they are restricting you. It's them against you, not me. So from 1 to 10, how should I feel?
I think that you should feel like you're a 10. You should always strive to, feel happy. And I think that we are the reason that we are happy. We have to choose happiness.
Is it we are the reason? Is it God the reason? Where's God in this?
Oh, I mean, that's based on one's belief, religiously or any, God or deity or superpower. I obviously feel very thankful toward God. Every morning when I wake up, I first say, thank you, God, for letting me wake up and have another day. But
yeah, I do that too.
Yeah,
my wife does that too.
But I don't think that's a requirement for everyone. That's a requirement based on one's belief or principles. But the idea of being happy and choosing positivity and gratitude is something that comes from within that we can all strive for.
Yeah, You know, the Mark Levin came up with a great theory, and just play clip number 3 for her, and let me get a response.
You and I talk about individual liberty, the Constitution, free will, the importance of separation of powers so there's not a concentration of centralized power, the importance of representative government, not little d democracy, so you don't have mobocracy. You don't have mobocracy, so people can't vote by majority to destroy your unalienable rights. The Constitution is a magnificent balance in order to protect the individual. Government doesn't exist to get more powerful, to get more centralized, to rejigger society, or to re-engineer the human person. Government exists to protect the civil society, the social contract.
Now, this is not, you're going to, you're getting political on me again. No, I'm not. I'm really not. I'm trying to, should we try to understand the other side and what they think, and be, as a way of at least knowing, we don't have to like them or anything, at least knowing why they're doing what they're doing.
I think it's very helpful when dealing with conflicting ideas or conflicting views to understand the other side, not necessarily to try to coerce them to change their perspective. But yes, since we do live in an environment where we are welcoming multiple ideas, multiple perspectives. We're a global melting pot. That's what America is. And so we have to continue that role of what a democratic society is. And that's why it's beautiful to have the ability to vote, not to be told who will be next, but to know that we are able to voice our opinion and that each voice counts. I actually have a 17-year-old daughter who will be 18 this next election. So our son has already voted a bit, but our daughter is really excited to to sign up and to come to the polling booths with us. And so that's a democratic process, and whether regardless of how one votes, that's a very precious thing. And so that's something that makes our country special. And so I think it's important for us to get down to that very basic element of commonality, again, regardless of whether you're a Democrat or Republican or an independent, or whether you choose not to vote at all. That's your right, and that's a right that we should feel really proud of in America. And so given that, I think it's really important to understand everything on the table, and not just to say vote one way, like all the way down the ticket with one party or another, just based on the fact that that's what we think we should do, or because that's the biggest or loudest voice in the room. So I do think it's important, but then we have to allow ourselves the opportunity to sit back and talk about it. So since I happen to vote one way particularly, if I don't know how I feel, I just vote for that, that party all the way down. But if I happen to have a particular opinion about something, perhaps a bill or, a candidate I may not like in some other, some of the smaller elections or whatnot, I'll actually do that and take the time to vote how I choose. And that's my own preference, and I'm permitted to do so. So yes, I think it's very, very important for us to understand why somebody says what they say, and to be incredibly angry or disapproving of a different perspective. And then we can know with more certainty, this is how I'm going to cast my vote. But,
because I just don't understand why they're thinking this. It's too obvious to me.
It's such a groupthink mentality, where we're just going to all say yes, or we're going to have that closet supporter, right? Someone who's afraid to speak up, which is what we saw, in the first time when Trump ran. We had a lot of closet supporters who weren't comfortable saying, "Oh, I'm going to vote for him," but then they did. And so I think that to me, it's I want to hear what the other candidate has to say, and then say I know where my vote's going to go. But I don't think we should do so blindly. I really don't.
Would you consider this a philosophy situation versus a political situation? Why do some people think the way they do? I mean, is there God involved for them? I wonder. Do they normally come in as people that would adhere to God? versus trying to be independent, as you are very much well explained, that you want to be able to vote, that you want your children to be able to vote. You want your husband to be able to vote.
But I mean, I think that it's interesting. So that same daughter just wrote an article for her school newspaper about voting. She wasn't allowed to be political. And she said, how am I supposed to write an article about voting if I can't make it political? And so both my husband and I very clearly told her, it's our right to vote. That is something that should make you feel so proud as an American. And it is, and so given that you are an American citizen, so her purpose of her article was to call all 18-year-olds or almost 18-year-olds to get, registered so that they would be eligible to vote and have their voting ticket in hand in order to go, to the ballots. And so, talking about that, there are so many reasons why we need to vote. So in Florida, in our county, high school is going to start later. I don't know if it's next year or the year after, because of some vote that happened in a previous election, right? When we went to the booths and we said, you know what, actually the high schoolers shouldn't have to get up for, a 7:30 start when they go to bed at 2. They could have the later time slot. And so enough people said that that's why that makes sense. And so now there's a question of how do we fix it? How do we implement it? But we've heard the people, and therefore we're going to do that. So even at that small level, that affects these teenagers. So imagine the rules, the policies, all the things that each of these candidates stand for. We have to understand that. The thing that worries me now about what we've got going on is if we go do so blindly, I don't think that's healthy. So is it based on...
If we go where? If we do what?
We vote, and we do so blindly. I'm not sure that's going to be wise. But is it something that's like a reason somebody has that's internal or not? I think that's up to them. Whether they choose to vote is up to them.
It's a right, but you don't have. It's not a demand.
Right, just like the right to bear arms. I want us to make sure we can do that, but I don't personally want to own a gun.
Now, is it a right to have your vote counted? Is it a right to have cheating involved in election?
No, and so that's part of the whole process. When we get into the issues that are impacting the integrity of what we are entitled to, I think that's where we really have issue. We should, at least. And so if somebody were to win something unfairly, how is that winning? Right? How do you feel good and look at yourself in the mirror? We have to act, especially, and unfortunately, politicians don't always act with the most integrity, right? Sometimes we say, okay, I'm going to look past this because of their track record, or I'm going to, ignore this little guffaw because, but the reality is that, we need to make sure that the processes are set.
We want to keep those rights. Many people, not all people care about the right to vote. As long as they can get along and be okay with their group, why would they want? And they don't really care whether who's in charge or who isn't. As long as their group is taken care of and they're taken care of, and as long as they obey the rules that have been given them by the government they're under, they're okay with everything. As long as that other group doesn't get a chance. You see, there's a dichotomy.
That's ignorant. I think that those people who are thinking that way are not opening their eyes to the reality. I mean, now some may live in other societies other than America, where they're grateful if their ruler is doing what will benefit them. Okay, but we're talking about America, and we're talking about our democracy that we're so proud of, and your flag behind you, right? Like this is something that makes us who we are. And the reason I recorded that song for you however many years ago is because I believe in those words too. The reason that Trump plays it is because he believes in those words too. There's something.
I feel so guilty not playing it.
Oh, please, it's okay.
No, I feel bad about it. I really do.
Please.
But I don't want to take any chance. I'll try to get it back on as soon as I can.
It's totally fine. It's totally fine.
I hate it. I thought that was an addition to my show. I loved having a song, especially your song. Sometimes I use it for other guests when you're not on.
Oh, thank you.
You know that,
Yeah,
right? I give you credit
you
for
told
it.
me that. You told me that.
Yeah.
But I do feel I'm particularly patriotic. My dad was in the Navy for 27 years. He, so I grew up, we put up our flag on the holidays and, so that's how I grew up, feeling very proud of our country. My grandfather was a judge. I remember canvassing with him and getting those, initial votes to get him in and elected. And so I've seen the beauty of, the judicial process. I've seen the beauty of being an American and fighting for our freedom.
It is so wonderful to be here because we have individual rights and we have, the right to do things like, make a living, work as hard as you want, not work so hard, you're not going to make as much, or you make mistakes sometimes and mistakes hurt you and you get a chance to recover and stuff like that. It's fun. It's fun to be an American. I don't understand the funness of being ordered around by some bureaucrat somewhere who is not who could be stupid but doesn't really care about you, or even a person that doesn't represent you in government who you have now. I can call my congressman, I can call my senators, both city and state and federal, and I can get a reaction from them because they want my vote.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I'm all powerful over them.
No, but everyone, yeah, exactly, 100%.
But I can do that, and I feel very good about that.
It's something we should take pride in it, and we should understand. I don't think that people who are not citizens of our country should be permitted to vote. Let them become citizens of our country and then vote. And so those kinds of things. But let's say that somebody else has a different opinion, then vote on that. Let's change things up and officially permit, illegal aliens to vote. If that's what put it on the table, put it on the ballot, and then have a voice. I agree or I disagree. We have to have that process, and I think that we need to make sure that we understand what it is at stake, and not to take it, so. Like in a laissez-faire type of approach, we have to be sincerely focused on saying this matters. And, unfortunately, due to the way that social media impacts thought, especially for the younger generations, I think that that's really sad. Because even if something isn't true, even if something wasn't stated in its particular way, it's taken out of context and all of a sudden blown up across various channels within social media. And so we don't really see the true people. Let's say that there's a candidate who isn't getting the response. Then social media can post one thing, right? Or one news channel even could post one story that isn't as accurate or that's tilted one way or another. And then those viewers are going to have that perspective. And that's particularly sad. And I see it time and again, but especially ramping up now, it's really disheartening. And I think that makes me feel sad.
It seems like there's a government now that's trying to take power because of the border. They're trying to get people in illegally who they're working on getting them the right to vote illegally. And what do you do if you're an American and you want to live under the law, you see, and you don't want to break the law, and yet you see somebody doing it on the other side? Where do we go from there? Because it seems to me like if they're going to take this kind of a risk to do that, they're not going to have real elections ever again if they don't have to.
Well, again, I would hope that especially people who are coming into our country from perhaps oppressed situations might say, might have the foresight to say that they don't want to mess with and perhaps even bring this new place, which is their haven, to an area where it won't be, seen that way anymore. I mean, I hope that America continues to stay strong. and it's wavered so much in the past couple of years. Economically, it's just not great. There's so many things, but from a philosophical standpoint, I think we're really in muddy waters, and I'm scared. It's funny because my grandparents told my parents that that this next generation, oh gosh, they're worried about what's going to happen. I am worried about what's going to happen for my kids and for their kids. And I think that some of these things make that big of a difference, right? If we veer off the path a little bit, we got to get back. And I do believe it's pendulum. I think it's going to get back in the middle. I wonder when.
That's a good point. It is a pendulum.
Yeah.
But a lot of these pendulums have really long swings.
Right. And how long are we going to wait? Right. Let's just get it back. Let's get back.
How many years? How many decades? How many centuries can you wait to do this and be subject to the kind of things like are in China or Venezuela? You're talking about cartels there now taking over Colorado. Did you know that?
I did not, but
they have 3 units of apartments now. Not three apartments, but 3 buildings now that they have confiscated in Aurora and Denver. And I went to school in Denver. I mean, it's kind of personal. I lived there for a couple of years. All right, and it was a great place to be. And they are a sanctuary city, and now they have become an invaded sanctuary city, and the governor and the mayor don't seem to give a darn. People are scared to death there. I can see it. They've done interviews here of them locking their doors because these guys come in with AR-15s, and they knock on the door and send you out. And if you don't answer the door, they cut the lock. And they take it over. And that's happening right now in Denver, Colorado. So it's on the news. So, at a certain point, this has to stop.
Yeah.
And what do we do about it? We are from other countries, but originally, I'd like to think we were originally Israelis. Right?
At least my family came from.
Where did your family come over, if you don't mind my asking?
My family came from Russia and Poland. My grandparents.
Where Russia?
Russia and Poland. Yeah. My grandparents on both sides, my mom's parents and my dad's parents, their parents, right? So my grandparents' parents were born in America.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know very many people who have that. Most people, like Alad's family, my husband's family, they came from Russia and Greece to Israel, and from Israel here. And so, but my family, like my grandparents, were born in America. Their parents were the ones who came in, from Russia and Poland.
Yeah, and that was about the early 1900s, maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the same case for me. I have a record of my grandfather coming in from Ackerman, Russia, which was a suburb of what's the name of that city on the bay there? I don't know, on the Mediterranean. I forget, but anyways, it's where Jerry Seinfeld came and other great comedians, which I'm honored to have. But they came over 1909, and he was probably in his 20s, and he committed suicide in 29 during the horrible thing that happened to the economy then. Yeah. So, but my father was born. He was about 7, and he had an older brother named David, was 9, and so I was named for David, who got killed in war by the Nazis in 1945, 2 weeks before the war was supposed to be over. Mm-hmm. So, and we all got stories like that, and it's great. I mean, what we came from, though, was a terrible thing for people to have to go through of not being treated right, of being treated like dirt, to being targeted as Jews for no other reason than the fact that we happen to be Jewish. I always wondered, why did people hate me so much? I wondered that since I was 10. All right, what did I do? I haven't had time to do anything really bad. For stuff. But I hadn't figured out a way to be really bad. Okay, so why would they just hate me for the fact that I am a Jew? And now it's happening again today.
It's so scary. That same 18-year-old who, is going to be voting. We're actually choosing college choices based on where she'll be safe, and that's
exactly.
That's really.
And
something.
I don't see any evidence that that's going to drop off. You know, the gal that got kicked out of Penn State now, the president of that school, Harvard hired her. Harvard just hired her. They all sticking together. And the problem is the teachers are involved in this. The teachers. You're an academic. What's going on? Where did you go to college?
I started off at Yeshiva University in New York, and then I actually
Which one?
Yeshiva University in New York.
Yeshiva, okay.
But I graduated from Florida International University. I'm down in Miami. I got a bachelor's in religious studies, and then a master's and a doctorate in psychology with industrial organizational as my foundation.
Well, you're very good at this, all right? And I'm glad you didn't consider this as political as you might have. And on that note, I guess other than DaveWeinbaum.net, where can people find and read your book and maybe hire you for a session and or a speech?
Well, thank you. So my book, Working with Difficult People, is sold anywhere books are sold. It's an ebook and audio format. And my website, cooperstrategicgroup.com, is where you can find me to learn all about what I do and my work. And then I'm also on all the social media channels. As much as I don't like social media, Cooper Hakim.
She dreads social media.
I do.
And MMA fighting, too. She won't do that.
Yeah.
Just won't do that. All right, so what did the net say to the fence?
What?
Don't mesh with me.
That's good.
Thank you for laughing. I wasn't sure about that one.
That's
Okay.
cute.
Hey, hi to the old man.
I will. So nice to see you.
Ask him to come on the show, okay?
I will.
And, God bless you and your family.
You too. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Bye.
Okay. Amy Cooper Hakim. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. All right. Well, she's always really good. I don't know. She's such a smart person. And her husband's smart too. And I've tried to get him on the show, but he's a little lax in answering. And then finally, when he responds sometimes, I've already filled the spot. You can't go 2 days without, not knowing. Is there something there? What's buzzing?
That was my phone.
Oh, okay. Well, we don't need to answer your phone. Oh, okay. Do we got any more messages?
No more messages, but I don't know if we want to get our second set of commercials in before.
I thought we did already.
We did not. We started talking about other stuff, and we got distracted.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
All right. Well, go ahead. Let's do it.
So make sure and go and buy from our sponsors.
Yeah.
Your home is your castle. You don't need unwanted hassle. Don't let those creatures move in to stay. Let us protect your investments. That's what we're all about. Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
Plank is locally owned and family operated right here in Rolla, a Google preferred business. Our customer service and your satisfaction is our #1 goal. So call Plank today at 368-3333.
Plank Termite and Pest Control will save the day.
With warmer temperatures right around the corner and allergies ramping up, now's the time to get those AC units serviced. At Hartley's, we pride ourselves in offering outstanding service with fast response times. With proper maintenance, you can make those hot days be a lot cooler and remove those pesky allergens that always seem to find their way into your home. Call us today so you can be living a much cooler and healthier life. Hartley's, community born, community raised, community serving.
Call Hartley's Climate Control today at 573-368-3163.
Never be too coy to tell your friends and family about koi sushi and hibachi. Celebrate the best Chinese Japanese restaurant in the Midwest. Call 573-426-5551 to make a reservation or order takeout. Locally owned, 1808 North Bishop, Rolla, Missouri. Ladies and gentlemen, in one evening at home, these two patriots went barefoot and demonstrated what our Constitution is all about. And as I said, they did it barefoot. They're my heroes. Please welcome Mark and Patricia McCloskey. And yes, I didn't play a song because now I'm on YouTube. And I don't know what songs they'll take. They said, no songs. All right. So, and I've been stung with a few, and I don't know which ones are bad and which ones aren't bad yet. So I hope you understand that as a lawyer and as a gentleman, and both of you as lawyers, I should say.
There we go.
Hi, how you doing? Are you okay?
You muted, unfortunately. I couldn't hear you. I didn't know if we were on.
You couldn't hear me? Okay. Okay, well, I don't have to excuse myself then for not playing your songs. forget all I said about that.
I can't forget what I didn't hear.
I'm on YouTube now.
Are you really?
Yeah, and they directed me not to have any songs that have a copyright, and they don't tell you what songs not to play. There are songs that YouTube will tell you are okay, and they will come down on you for some of them. I have to figure this out.
They'll also cancel you if you say anything that they think is disinformation. I've been blocked on YouTube. I had the whole radio station blocked for a month for saying something that they disagreed with.
What is that? Is that 103 point something?
101.9.
101.9. And that was, what did YouTube have to do with that?
Well, it used to go out over YouTube, and it used to go out over my personal YouTube channel. But I said something about vaccines that the powers that be didn't like, and I got us blocked for a month.
Well, tell that to Zuckerberg. Now he's confessed, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Well, where are these guys? These guys should be able to. I mean, these guys should be able to at least understand that they contributed to lying to America. They contributed to maybe mass killings. All right. Yeah. I mean, how could, and Zuckerberg has pretty much opened the door to that.
Well, I think they're afraid of a change in player personnel, that if Trump gets elected, they're trying to say, okay, don't put us in prison for the rest of our lives. We're being good boys now. What you think about people like Trump being charged with election interference in Arizona and in Georgia when Zuckerbucks interfered the entire country, and he's just going on there and being the second richest guy in the world instead of being the second richest prisoner at Alcatraz.
Yeah, you're right, and he's covering his tuchus.
Yeah,
as us Jewish people say, I don't know what
we call it an ass in this part of the world.
Called ass. Okay, you can say that. Wait, can we say that?
I just did.
I know. Thanks. So Elon Musk. Do we have a Rudy clip for him? I think I wanted to play it, but
we could do 14.
Do 14. We're going to play a couple of clips and get your response.
One thing to warn you about. You can't believe how dumb this guy is. Nicest guy, dumb as hell. But he's the nicest guy, great jokes. But you are going to come away with a lot of meetings with him saying, how can somebody be that stupid? I know it's a joke. It's not meant to be. All of what I just told you is absolutely true. So I always thought of him as a chameleon, not evil, but he'll do anything to party. If the party puts in front of him, say that Star Wars is terrible, which turns out, of course, to be the savior of Israel. That's Iron Dome. Joe Biden was the biggest opponent of Star Wars. That's probably one of the dumbest things to have opposed. I once sat down and tried to explain to him, because I liked him. We would go to have drinks together, eat together. I would say to him, Joe, if an airplane can hit a missile in the sky and take it out, it can do that, right? Yes. And sometimes a missile can hit an airplane in the sky. Right. Why does that happen? Because one is faster than the other. I said, well, suppose we're just so much damn smarter than the Russians that we can always produce missiles that are faster than their planes. Could we take them down? Yes. He said, but that's not what it is. It's Star Wars. I said, no, that's a movie. This is what actually happens. I don't know if he was being stupid or he was being political. He refused to acknowledge it. But of course, that's what it is. It's a question of superior design, staying ahead of your enemy. But he never understood it.
Now, I probably need to ask you before you comment, are you wearing shoes now? Yeah, okay. I'm just curious. Yeah, I wondered if you went around like that all the time without your shoes on.
Only when we were hosing down the porch.
You saved your lives while you were barefooted. Okay, that's amazingly that's cool. Well, I wonder after canceling you like that, if Zuckerberg would come on and say, you know what the McCloskeys did was just so cool, so bad. That's what he should do. See, because he said that about Trump. When Trump got shot, oh my God, was that wow? His reaction to that was so radical. All right. Anyways, all right. Elon Musk, Biden, Harrison. Wait. Pope Francis says repelling, abandoning illegal immigrants is a grave sin.
You know, I've been
you guys are not Jewish. I'm Jewish, and I'm saying to myself, that's a grave sin. Is taking in people that might murder you and are illegally coming into your country.
Yeah, well, you know the Vatican is a country. I've been to the Vatican. You know what they have there? They've got guards all over the damn place, right?
No kidding.
You can't get in unless you're supposed to be there. But now this alleged Pope Francis says, let everybody in or you're committing a mortal crime, mortal sin.
Well, I've already put my application in for a unit in the Vatican. Yes. I expect to be getting kosher food in there, and I expect also to be facing Israel as well as the Mediterranean. I want a nice view of the Mediterranean as well. And if the Pope has to move out because of it, well, so be it.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm getting a lot of response to that on Twitter.
I bet you are.
None from the Vatican yet. I don't know why not. You know. So how does the former DA and she says she was Attorney General? How does that former San Francisco politician not know that all the tape policies during her 3.5 years as vice president isn't evidence now as she changes everything she said?
But she really didn't. If you listen closely to that interview last night, if you call it an interview, the 18-minute puff piece for her, she says, my views have not changed. So you go back, when we were campaigning for President Trump in 2020, we were standing across the Ohio from the world's largest fracking plant. And I took a picture out the window of the world's largest fracking plant and posted it. And I said, this is why Joe Biden can never win Pennsylvania, because he says he's going to eliminate fracking, just like she did. Now she says her views haven't changed, which means she still is going to stop fracking. She says her views haven't changed on the border, which means you got to listen to the words and the answers. What the interviewer said was, are you still going to decriminalize border crossings? And she didn't answer that question. What she said was, there are laws against it and we will uphold those laws. But decriminalizing it means doing something in the future to remove those laws, right?
Well, she didn't answer the question.
Didn't answer the question. They let her get away with it.
That's why I got you. You guys are so sharp. That's why you're on the show. You know the law.
Well, you also know that most lawyers are weenies that will do anything in the world to avoid a straight answer.
Yeah, well, I would agree with that too. I mean, and for other reasons. But no. I mean, you have certain insights into things. I admire the law a lot. Do I admire all lawyers? Hell no.
Yeah.
Hell no.
You know, when I was going to law school, I said this is just a mutual admiration society for people with gross character flaws. And then I actually became a lawyer and found out how much worse it can get.
Yeah. Well, look at Jack Smith. Let's talk about how really bad it could get. Jack Smith, he goes to now to a different grand jury after his lawfare suit goes awry because he wasn't legally appointed, and now he's resuing Trump with a new grand jury on the same issue.
Yeah.
How did that happened?
Well, you know, there used to be something called the rule of law in this country, and now there isn't. Right now, they make it up as they go along. The courts, until you get to the Supreme Court, you can always find a judge who will rule your way in the local federal court. You can pick a circuit where the judges are appointed majority by Democrats, and they're going to do whatever they're told. And until you get to the Supreme Court, you can't expect anything in the way of justice. And now, of course, they want to stack the Supreme Court, so even then you won't get any justice. But you can't predict. I used to be able to say, I know how this is going to turn out if a client came to me with a question. Today, I always say, I have no idea how this is going to turn out because they make it up as they go along, and there's no more fixed rules that you can count on.
This is for Patricia. I want to talk a little bit about the abortion issue and Trump's the accusation of Trump being totally anti-abortion, which isn't true. And he says for the life of the woman, a rape or incest.
But he also says it's left up to the states and the federal government's not going to get involved in it.
And yesterday, I think he said that he personally is going to vote for some abortion rights in Florida.
Yeah.
So,
but they're claiming that he has. I think it was Tampon Tim calling on Trump because he wants to kill all the babies. Not kill the babies, but he wants to kill all the mothers.
Yeah.
But people don't listen. They don't really listen to what Trump is actually saying. So they can just make that up. And you see it on CBS or NBC. Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Do you ever look at Drudge on the computer?
Yeah, I haven't looked at the Drudge Report in years.
You can find stuff on there.
Yeah.
That is what is being said by the other side.
Yeah.
And that is total lies.
Yeah, it is. And nobody's going to call him out. And I'll say this. The president's in Johnstown, Pennsylvania today, President Trump. When we were on the Trump campaign, the first place I gave a speech to a Trump VIP group was in Johnstown 4 years ago, right about 4 years ago today. And what I said was, everybody in this room that hears me talking, and everybody that sees me on Fox TV, and everybody that sees me on Newsmax and OAN, they're already going to vote Republican. It doesn't do me any good, doesn't do you any good for you to hear me speak when we're already going to vote Republican. We have to just find a way to reach out there beyond our own echo chamber, because the mainstream media just lies, just blatantly lies. I heard Tampon Tim say yesterday that Donald Trump wants a national abortion ban, right? After he just said the exact opposite. And who's going to call him out? Do you think Willie Geist is going to say, "Oh, no, you're wrong, Tampon Tim"? The president says he's not going to have any national law on abortion. He's going to leave it up to the states. And by the way, he thinks that there are exceptions to the pure pro-life situation. But no one's going to do that. And if you only are talking to the people that are already going to vote for the president, it doesn't help.
I can understand that. So now, are you admitting now, sir, that you want to know what other people are thinking, why they're thinking it? Do you want to explore the fact that they are against you and maybe find a way to convince them otherwise?
Well, I used to be a big advocate for the thought that if your argument makes sense, you can convince people of it. as I've become older, and particularly in the last 4 years since I myself have had an active political career, what I've found is that facts and argument are meaningless. The only thing that sways voters is raw emotion, and they don't want to think too deeply about anything because it's too upsetting for them. I can't tell you the number of people that have told me in the last 4 years, we don't watch the news anymore because it's too upsetting. And that's intentional on the part of the mainstream media to make it so contentious that people tune out and they don't get any actual information. They just get kind of this background hum of what the mainstream media is trying to sell.
This is for Pat. Journalism. Why is it that you find a word like weird and it goes to all the mainstream media stations and they say the same word? What kind of journalism is this?
It isn't, and you wonder exactly what person. Well, they said that Waltz is the Tampon Tim is the one that came up with the word weird, which is just I guess they pick what we think of them and then they use it against us. But like it happens overnight, all these talking points overnight. And at what point do they distribute this? And from what source do they distribute the new talking points? It's amazing.
If I were to become Attorney General of the United States of America, one of the things I would investigate immediately is who is in control. Who, during the 4 years of the Biden administration, when he was an incompetent puppet, who actually pulled his strings, who actually ran the country. They did it illegally and unconstitutionally. And who creates these talking points and what is their means of distribution? Just like she just said, it comes out to every single media source the exact same time until they give us the new one.
And the exact same word. You can at least switch the words around. He's a little screwball. He's a screwy kind of guy. He's a little dumb. He's a little this. He's a little that. Why do they have to say the same word on each channel?
Yeah, well, when I was working on the student newspaper, these many decades ago, we had a teletype machine in the newsroom, right? It's a UPI teletype machine. Yeah. And every morning the scroll would come out and it would tell you the news. And every station in America would repeat that because it's easier than writing your own copyright. You just read what United Press International prints out of their teletype machine first thing in the morning. And there's got to be a similar system right now. It'd be the Democrat telegraph system where they all get their talking points every morning and the big exclamation point that says, "Thou shalt not say anything else."
Wow. It's that is, now they are a group that I'd be embarrassed. I don't think there is such a thing as journalism, because journalism is part reporting the facts and part telling people what you think. Opinion journalism.
And I don't think anybody becomes a journalist anymore to be a journalist. They want to be part of the system.
They want to be part of a group.
Yeah, and the group, the political group, not journalists.
Did you listen to Mark Levin last Sunday night?
No, we were traveling. We unfortunately did not get
play the first clip. Oh wait, you can't play that one, can you? It was in the song. I can play the second clip. Okay. Yeah.
A colorblind society. That's what liberty means to us. You look at the Declaration of Independence, what does it talk about? There's not a word in there about race. It's about natural law, natural rights, God-given to each individual. Unalienable rights, not given to groups based on physical features or their faith or whatever it is. Unalienable rights given to each human being. Each human being has their own value, their own worth. But the Democrat Party doesn't see things that way. In fact, there's organizations that represent different ethnic groups, different racial groups, different religious groups. They don't see things that way either. What's going on?
See, he's trying to figure out what it is and why they're doing things a certain way. They don't care if they lose their rights to vote. They don't care as long as they're with the group and the government approves and leaves them alone. They're fine.
Yeah.
Even what happens is they turn into Russia. They turn into Venezuela, and they're doing it right now.
Yeah. Well, the problem is for them. If you look back in every revolutionary government, look back to Lenin and Stalin, all the people that wanted to keep their heads and didn't want to get executed, joined the party, right?
Right.
But it didn't do them any good because eventually Stalin ran out of people that weren't in the party to kill, so he had to start killing his party members and then all his generals and then the kulaks and the sons of kulaks. French Revolution, same story, right? They pretended to be part of, comrade so-and-so or citizen so-and-so in the French Revolution. But as they had to find more and more people to kill to satisfy the bloodlust, they started having to kill off their own supporters. Exact same thing in Cuba, exact same thing in Venezuela now. And so these people think that if they say the right words, it's like lamb's blood in the door and they'll be passed over. But they won't get passed over. They'll get caught up and devoured.
Eventually they'll find them. Yeah. Eventually it'll happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's as a Jewish guy. Now, I don't know if you guys have a background of where your families came from. Where did your families come from?
My family came mostly from Ireland. Patty's mostly from Czechoslovakia.
Oh, okay. So why does this remind me of Trump? It's like you married wasn't Ivanka a Czechoslovakian or
Slovenian, actually.
Different time.
Slightly different. All the prettiest girls in the world come from Eastern Europe, either Czechoslovakia or Hungary.
My wife.
The Gabor sisters, for example, they were Jews from Hungary. Prettiest
Who's that?
girls in the world, right?
Who?
The three Gabor sisters.
I thought you were talking about 3 divorces. How did you know about those?
Unlike you,
you were talking to my old lawyer, Chuck Tote. That is confidential information, sir. Not to be passed around to you lawyers. Oh, come on, man. Anyways, my wife here is look at her. She's a darling, and she's of German and Swedish, right?
There's 40 years ago.
Pretty much German. Yes. So I'm sleeping that way. I didn't see. So I'm sleeping with a gal that I have to have one eye open all the time. I'm a Jewish guy, and now she's a minister.
Yeah.
She's a minister. She's actually obligated now to try to turn me to Jesus.
Well,
I mean, it says so. It says so in her little thing, and she has I'd call it a big knife, but it's a big sword. She has the sword of who? Of Goliath or what? I don't know. It's like the sword that Goliath had. Okay.
It's a sword of Solomon.
Oh, sword of Solomon.
Yes.
Okay.
It's got Jewish symbols all over
Jewish symbols on it. Yes, I wasn't nervous about it.
I don't think that means it's meant to slay
She
Jews.
grabbed it and said, "Get down on your knees and face the other way." and I had this thing about the gladiator where he was out in the forest and they were going to execute him, and he says, "I told her, I says, I want a soldier's death," and the guy let him come up, and he bounced up and knocked the sword out of his hand. I was getting a really nervous thing. Am I like? I am very paranoid.
Paranoid, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you should be.
Well, yeah.
Just until you find that Christ is your personal savior and
there you go.
Join the forces of good and against evil.
From you?
I'll tell you my favorite story. I'm taking the deposition of this emergency room doctor up at the Cleveland Clinic, and he's a conservative Jew from Williamsburg. And we're talking about Trump and life. And at some point he says, "Are you a religious man?" And I pulled out my cross and I said, "Yeah, but a different religion." And he goes, "The Lord gives us religions we can deal with."
Well, it's interesting that the religious choices of Christians and Muslims and Jews has been tolerance at one point from Muslims in the 1200s. They actually treated the Jews okay. Now they had to pay a royalty to the Muslims so they wouldn't get killed, or a tax so they could stay okay. But the Christians didn't treat us very well for a long time, and now all of a sudden the Christians and Jews are together.
Yeah,
a Mormon. I mean, the Mormons.
Yeah, I was just doing a little look into Mormon last night. because of the constitutional celebration they had in Utah yesterday. But, you know, I think it's still legal in Missouri to kill any Mormon on sight, because back in the 1800s, the Mormons set up a church in Missouri, and the governor outlawed it and then ordered that all Mormons either be expelled or killed. And so, you know, at least we've never had that law for Jews or Christians in this country. So go figure.
So are you Mormon?
No.
I didn't think so. Are you Catholic?
Catholic, yeah.
Catholic, okay. Yeah, I went to Chuck's funeral. You didn't go to there, did you?
Chuck who?
Chuck Tote.
Oh no, we did not.
And he was on the South Side in a Catholic church, and it was set up that I would go actually at the pulpit and give a little speech about him. And I got up there, and it was a packed place. And the father is looking at me like I was scum. I swear to God, he was pissed off. Okay,
because
so it's pretty interesting giving a go away to a friend of mine who had just happened to be Catholic. Of course, he was more than Catholic. He was also the son of a major league ball player by the name of Phil Tote, and then I found out he was also I think he was also the relative, or I guess he was. I can't remember whether he was a nephew or not. Let's say he was a nephew of a guy who was named Tote, who happened to be in Germany wearing a Nazi outfit. And I says, who is this guy that's in a Nazi outfit? Oh, Uncle Fritz. I says, what do you mean, Uncle Fritz? He's wearing a Nazi outfit. He says, yeah, he was a guy that invented the Autobahn. And at one time, he was second in command to Adolf Hitler. Okay. I said, wait a minute. Did you know I was Jewish? He says, well, yeah, but, that was a long time ago, although he did call me in 1941 when I was 8 years old and invite me to go to Germany. I guess it was just during the beginning of the war or whatever. He said, what a great place it is and all that. Well, he would have been the third male would be sitting in for Adolf. Oh my God. And I'm sitting there saying, I should take this guy as a lawyer. And he turned out to be a great friend. So I don't know what I'm complaining about.
Well, with all those divorces, did you build him a hell of a mausoleum?
Well, what the problem he had with me is that by the third divorce, I took it upon myself. He called me up and says, I want you in my office. I says, why? I got to horsewhip you. You're going to get depositioned, and we need to know stuff. We need to know how to proceed. I says, look, my ex-wife to be, don't listen to it about this, honey. Just turn off.
Come back in.
Anyways, she's on social media and she's saying nasty things about me and stuff like that. But you know what she says mostly is I just want to get this over. Okay. So I told him, I says, look, call her lawyer. It was her third one by that time. And I says, you arrange a meeting between her and me and you and her at this office. And he says, I can't do that. I says, look, I know you're the lawyer, but I'm the client and I am the boss to a certain extent. You have to do this. You have to do it and do it now. So we all get together and they send us down to in Clayton, the Clayton court. Mm-hmm. And we couldn't find the coffee house we were supposed to go. So we ended up in the Clayton court out in the outside area. And we're talking about it. We're getting done. And they said they wanted us back by lunch. So we went back at lunch. And we had a few points already covered. And Chuck takes me into his office and says, okay, now this is what we're going to do. We're going to tell them our demands. I says, you sure you want to do this? He says, yeah, I'm telling you as your lawyer, I need to set our demands. So we get back together and he starts in on our demands. And she gets up, takes her scarf and throws it around her neck and says, I'm not putting up with this. I'm out of here. Of course, there were a few swear words involved too. She runs out and her lawyer is sitting there saying, I can't control my client. I can't control my client. I can't control my client. Okay. And so I told them both, I says, you guys wait here. Somebody had called about my phone being dropped at the courthouse, and she's sitting out there steaming. I mean, just steaming. And I says, Joni, let's go. She says, what? Why? I says, I left my phone there, and we're going to keep talking. We're not going to talk about anything. I says, well, just get up. She says, okay. So about a third of the way down, she starts saying, and this is what we should do for the house. We went right back into negotiations. Okay. Got back. We had a 10-point list, and they said, okay, you got to read each point. She's got to say she agrees, and her lawyer has to say she agrees, and my lawyer had. Well, I went through the whole thing, all 10 things, and we settled it with hardly any legal expense, which killed him, I think. Literally. Okay. Because he suddenly wasn't in office anymore. He had to go down to downtown and get to Sandburg, Phoenix, where I am now. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
All right.
Now I have on
this story, by the way.
What's that?
How did we get into this story, by the way?
Yeah.
How did you get into the story?
You know, your divorce is interesting. I've never had one. Patty can tell you about hers.
Really?
I'm excited.
Let's hear it. No. Now, let me just mention this. I've got Jeff Zink coming on. Do you have time, or are we on the clock, or what?
No, we're actually taking the day off other than doing my radio program this afternoon, which I'll plug right now. Mark McCloskey on Fire, 101.9 News Talk, STL. Also, you can catch me on my X feed at McCloskey USA or on Rumble at Mark McCloskey on Fire. Gets broadcast 5 to 6 p.m. in St. Louis, Saturday afternoons in Kansas City. We're going to have Mark Schmitz on today for Sunday's broadcast, who is a father of Lance Corporal Jared Schmidt, who is one of the Abbey Gate 13 martyrs. And it should make an interesting program.
Okay. Hey, did you ever hear about the potato philosopher?
No.
His motto was, I am what I am. Ladies and gentlemen, the McCloskeys, Patricia and Mark. Thank you so much for being on the Dave Weinbaum Show. Okay.
That was actually
I always have fun with you guys.
I am what I am.
Yeah, I am what I am. You can tell that one. It's all right. Thanks. Okay, guys. Have a great weekend.
All right.
All right. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you're in for a big treat. We're going right to Jeff Zink. They're drinking whatever he is. I don't know if he's having an early morning drink because it's early down there. But he's in the confines of the GOP party. And right now we're going to introduce him as soon as I find his introduction, although I do kind of know it. This man is a kinesiologist, and I only point that out because I just love saying that word. He's running for Congress in Maricopa County. He's involved with his son Ryan in the 1-6. I almost said the word abortion. Why would I say it? Because it's true. And who had his felonies charges dropped. And he is the forensic audit election master to the Dave Weinbaum Show. Please welcome all the way from Phoenix, Jeff Zink. So how you doing, my friend?
Oh, it's really interesting. I'm going to be on Fox News locally here in Phoenix this afternoon. They're going to interview me, and which is something different. My last election, they didn't even bother to acknowledge that I existed. So now Fox is going to interview me. I've got, we've been working diligently since the last time we talked. I had on, let's see, last Thursday, I received a phone call at about 7 o'clock in the morning, and they were arresting a J6er here in Phoenix, and they were looking for an attorney to help him. And I had less than 30 minutes.
By the way, the McCloskeys are still with us.
Oh yeah.
Hey Mark. Hi Patty. How you doing?
I thought they hung up too, and they're sitting right there.
No,
we have nowhere to go.
I asked you to be on. No, I wanted you on with Jeff because I like it. When my guests get together, it's even more fiery than just with me and the guests. So it's really good that they're there, and you never know when you're going to need a good lawyer, right, Jeff?
That's exactly right, and they're so few and far between. The thing is, the great thing about it is, and you can always tell what kind of person, and I'm learning this, is that if you have a love for the Constitution, you have a biblical background, you're grounded and everything, it doesn't matter what profession you're in, because of that grounding, you're able to, work with people and for people. And that's pretty much kind of what we're doing here. But
tell us about
the thing is that a lot of people
who got arrested.
So we had I don't know who the gentleman name was. All I had to do was get an attorney, which I've got a list of attorneys that I know. And so we were able to get this guy in less than 30 minutes when I was made aware that he had been arrested by the FBI. Got an attorney to represent him. While we still couldn't prevent the him being extradited to Washington, D.C., at least, we had an attorney that says, look, don't talk to anybody. Don't talk to somebody who they put you next to. Do not talk to, just, keep your mouth shut and give, until we had a time to figure out what's going on, because we need to figure out where this person was on the Capitol grounds that day. And we have video, but we've got to get a timeline. And until we do establish that timeline, we don't know where they're at. So we can't, help to vindicate their actions.
Well, why is it this late in an election year like this? Why it's kind of late, isn't it?
Well, they do it. They've been doing 10 to 12 a day. Every day we have people are being arrested still today. Remember, they have over 1 million people that was at J6, and they said every person that was there will be arrested and will be charged.
Not even in the Congress, standing outside.
No, just being there. So where's our First Amendment right to assemble and to and petition the government to let our voices be heard? Where did that go?
Is there a lawyer somewhere that can answer this? Do you know of any? Oh, wait, he's sitting right there.
Well, here's the thing. I did a forum last Friday night in Lincoln County up at Moscow Mills. And one of the guys on the program is a guy named Paul Westover, who is a J6er. Now, he was a guy that actually went into the Capitol building. He got led around by Capitol Police. They said he can't go there, but you can go here. Walked him around. But he was one of the first group to get arrested, and he pled guilty to a misdemeanor immediately, got 45 days and a $500 fine. As time has gone by, they have been charging more and more and more. And for example, with Ryan, they were charging him if you don't plead guilty, they keep adding more charges. Yeah. And the closer you get to trial, the more severe those charges get. But now they're charging everybody with the maximum amount they possibly can, because the whole purpose is to intimidate us and demonstrate that, in fact, you don't have a First Amendment right. In fact, you don't have any of your standard constitutional rights. You don't have a right under the Fourth Amendment against illegal search and seizure. You don't have a right in the Sixth Amendment to a jury of your peers. You got a jury of people, like in Ryan's case, where they take 20 minutes to give him 6 years in prison. This is just designed to show you that the current power structure is totalitarian, absolute, and if you raise up your head against it, you will have your head cut off.
Well, okay. How does that bit of advice help poor old Jeff here?
Well, the answer is just like Jeff was saying: keep your mouth shut. Don't talk to anybody. Don't confess. Don't confide in your cellmate because he's a federal plant.
Right.
Right.
Don't talk to anybody but your lawyer, and don't do that over the telephone because they're listening. And what the government's doing now, of course, look at John Eastman, for example, or Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell. They're now arresting your lawyers for trying to provide you with a constitutional defense and charging them.
How did they get away with that?
Because they find judges that are complacent. They find judges that are in on it, and they find federal circuits that are cooperative because they know that by the time they send you through the grinder, even if you eventually prevail, your life has been destroyed. And that's the whole purpose of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay. What else is new, Jeff? How's the campaign
one
going?
One of the things is that we recently won a court case against Adrian Fontes in regards to our signatures that they need to be verified. We had over 240,000 signatures that in the 2022 election that we identified had either no origin. The person had moved out of the state, had moved from their address. And so one of the things is that we won the biggest part this week, that you have to produce a valid ID showing your citizenship for to vote. Now, it doesn't account. There's a loophole in our statutes that says that if you, Mark, and myself, we walk up and we go, we don't have any ID at all, and they say, well, we can't deny you voting, so you can get a federal ballot, which means the presidency, the Senate, and Congress, you can vote for them, but you can't vote down ballot, which makes absolutely no sense. And so we're in the process of clarifying that and changing that. But those two lawsuits that we won against Adrian Fontes and Katie Hobbs is huge this week.
Well, can we say without much doubt that the 22 election was a fraud?
Oh, absolutely. We've been saying that. We can go back as far as 2020 now.
No, you have the proof of that now. Is that not true?
Exactly. We have the proof. But the thing is that so here's one of the things that I'm trying to talk to, and I talked yesterday to a whole bunch of pastors at a pastors conference. And when I told them, I said, we have to start in the pulpit telling people to vote their faith. We need to make sure that you're voting your faith, because how can you vote for the Democrats? Because I call them demons. How do you kill a child from conception all the way up to term birth and then up to 28 days after the child has been born? That is straight up evil. The fact is that they allow open borders where fentanyl is killing. We have the same numbers in our nation of people dying of overdose of fentanyl that we had in Vietnam. I remember this in Vietnam, watching the daily numbers of the people, the casualties of every day being put up on the screen and stuff. And so we need to start doing that. We need to start putting numbers of the people that have died because of fentanyl. We have sex trafficking, human trafficking that's going across the border that is controlled by the cartel here in Arizona, California, and New Mexico. And it's being unchecked. And so these are big concerns, and we've got to sit down. And the thing is that the lady that I'm running against, she's for all that. She actually interned under Nancy Pelosi. So think about that. How would you like now you have a Nancy Pelosi clone that's a young lady that's going to be just like Nancy Pelosi as she grows up.
And so here's one of the things that we've been talking about. There's a whole lot of people that would vote Republican who don't vote anymore. Devout Christians, bikers, hunters, all these people that feel like that no matter what they do, the same people stay in charge, and so there's no point in voting. They feel disenfranchised, and they have extricated themselves from the process. We have to get out there, and like Jeff was saying, all the churches, all these organizations, the hunting and fishing organizations, Bass Pro Shops, for example. We need to get everybody out there and say, look, we don't care how much you think the system doesn't care about you in the past, because if you get out there and you vote Republican and we get Donald Trump elected president again, the government's going to be looking after your interests again instead of trying to find a way to make your life more miserable. And
and by that, we need to vote early as we possibly can.
Absolutely. And in states where vote harvesting is legal, go out there and vote harvest. We need to use every dirty trick they use against us where it's legal to vote the way they vote. And I mean, look at it. The first debate's going to start after some of these states have early voting. I mean, we have 6 weeks of advanced voting here in Missouri. It's just ridiculous. You know, Dave, Jeff, when we were kids, we had election day. It was easy.
That's right.
You know, Walter Cronkite would come on at 10 o'clock at night and tell us who the new president was.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we believed
it.
And
we can do that. You know, the thing is that we can do that again, because they say that you can't do this. But if we do it at the precinct level and we hand count the paper ballots at the precinct level, you're looking at a maximum of 2,500 ballots. Now, we have proven here in Arizona that not only can you do 2,500, but we did 15,000 ballots in under an hour. And we had, and not only was it counted, but it was recounted and verified by 4 people at each table there. And so we can, you know, with it's like eating an elephant. You do it one bite at a time. But if you do this at the precinct level at 2,500 ballots at a time, and then you have all the precincts come into the LD, they can re-verify every one of those and then take them to the, and then fax or text the results and everything of what you obtained. By the time, at the latest, at midnight, you would have an entire state counted, recounted, and verified with the results.
Wow, those are the old days right there. I mean, and well, they cheated back when the Kennedys, old man Kennedy, right? But I don't know. It just seems like it's the pandemic has really jerked us around to where we believed in all these late votings and it let the Democrats do their will. Is the Trump campaign set to fight back against this? It sounds like they're trying, Laura Trump and all. It seems like they're putting people in all these positions and bringing in 500 of, shall I say the word, lawyers in on this. Are they doing enough to foil the cheating?
Well, I know here in Maricopa County, what we're gearing up and what we're training people, we've got several attorneys that is going to be here on election day, and we'll start very early in the morning, and we're going to have a whole host of attorneys, and we have a hotline number, and every person that we have trained to be a poll observer and watching what's going on. If they have something nefarious that happens, then they're to call that hotline number, and an attorney will then take off and show up within minutes and we're going to have a certain locations where each attorney is going to be bouncing there. So we're going to have legal representation. Plus, we're also talking about Votify Now, having people download this app. Where if you see something and you are just an individual, take pictures, take video, then put a description out what's taking place. When you sign that, then Votify Now will actually make that an affidavit. If you go, and we're telling everybody, if you go to the polls and you show up to vote and you've already voted, call 911. Call the police. Your identity has start making. Oh, am I there?
Yeah, you just blipped a little bit.
Oh, okay.
You're getting to somebody out there.
Yeah, and when I start talking like this, then people start messing with my phone. So one of the things is that your identity has been stolen because somebody voted on your behalf without your knowledge and without your permission. And so what we're going to do is we're going to force them, because now that you've called the police and you now have a detective that's now going to have to investigate this. Well, if you have 4, 5, 10, 15, 20,000 of these complaints that have been registered and stuff, and they're all going to a court of law, where you're going to be sitting here going, I showed up and it showed that I'd already voted. I don't know how that happened. I didn't do it. Here's my ballot. And obviously I couldn't have voted or whatever. And we can shut this down because, again, too big to rig. If you vote, then that's what we do as far as shutting down.
Well, here's the problem, Jeff. Let's say 15 or 20,000 people try to call 911 and say, when I went to vote, somebody had already voted for me. First of all, if it's like St. Louis, it's a 20-minute wait to get a human being on a 911 call. And then think how many years. It'll be a decade for 20,000 cases to get reached by the courts. By then, the people that got illegally elected will have already died of old age before any of this ever gets resolved. The problem is that the judicial system grinds slowly, and it's designed to make the process worse than the outcome. And you will never have if they want to cheat and if they want to steal, they know that the process will take longer than the term of election. And so they have no fear of that. They have no concern about that. And then you got Denise D'Souza with his 2,000 mules, and they just say he's nuts, right? That's no evidence of election fraud.
And you both know that was evidence, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, one of the things that happened with the 2,000 mules is that information, and as far as Arizona was concerned, that came out of We the People AZ Alliance with Shelby Bush and Steve Robinson, the two co-founders of that organization. They were the ones that worked with Dinesh to provide that information to him.
Yeah. Now, I like to do a little examining of our enemies like Drudge. How is Carrie Lake doing? Because Drudge has her losing big in the polls.
Yeah, like 19 points yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. The great thing about propaganda is that's what it is. When I'm out talking with people and knocking on doors and talking to different people in the neighborhoods and stuff like that, and I ask them, I said, is it Trump or Harris? And they'll say Trump. And then I'll go, well, what about Carrie Lake and Ruben Gallego? Well, Ruben Gallego was a horrible congressman. Why would we elect him as a senator? And then and so they say Carrie Lake. And then I go, and of course they're in my congressional district, and they'll go, well, what about Jeff Zink, your Republican congressional candidate, or Democrat Yasmin Asari? And they're going, we're gonna vote Republican. We're tired of the Democrats. And so it's here, especially in my congressional district. Think about this. We have a Democratic mayor. We have a Democratic governor. We have a Democratic Secretary of State. We have a Democratic sheriff. We have a Democratic Phoenix police chief. We have a Democratic state representative in Senate, and we have 2 state Democrat in the House. So all the way up and down is all Democrat, and it's been that way for 24 years. You can't even blame the Republican Party for anything that's going on, and that's what I'm putting out. And so if you have any of your listeners and stuff, I'm looking for a big donor, because it's going to take about $100,000 to do a media blitz to go against the $1.5 million that has been already raised by Yasmin. But here's what we're going to do with the money. We're going to go into the Spanish-speaking stations, the Univision, and we're going to go to all of the Spanish-speaking radio stations, and we're going to put ads out there that basically explain, because Yasmin was the second vice mayor. And if you want to continue what's going on in Phoenix, and everybody here in my district is Phoenix, and they're sick and tired of it. And all I'm going to do is just expose her as the second vice mayor and what she has already done. And so, you can go to thinkzink.vote and donate to my campaign and stuff. And then for a large donation, I have We the People AZ Alliance. You can contact them, and they've dedicated any dollars that are designated for me will be utilized for that campaign of getting that out. So, it's going to be really interesting how this is going to play out over the next couple of months.
Always amazing to me is how the incumbents can blame everything on their opponents, even though, like in the city of St. Louis here, we haven't had a Republican administration since 1949, but they'll still claim that you have to vote for a Democrat to fix all the problems caused by the Republicans.
Yeah. They have to go back lifetimes to find the Republicans to blame.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is, the cup I'm drinking right here, America must put God first.
I like it. I love it. And do you believe it when Kamala says she worked at McDonald's? I need an investigation. I'm getting calls about that. Seriously.
Yeah. Did you hire her? What was up with that?
I didn't know if I did. I mean, what do I know? I mean, I hired my wife when she was 16 years old. Okay, I didn't know I hired her until she told me. Okay. It's kind of weird, but all right, I believe her now, I think. Anyways, she knew my father. All right, Georgia. When are they going to come clean and say it was stolen from Georgia, the 2020 election?
I don't think
that's a great question. I've sat and I've watched, as much evidence as Garland, Barbarito have presented, all of the voterga.org has put out the cases that they've won. Governor Kemp coming out and telling Rassenberger that he needs to clean up the rolls. They just cleaned up the rolls. 1.6 million people have been taken off their voter rolls.
Wow.
There's a lot of positive things and stuff, yet they come right up short of going, we have all of these things that have happened, but they haven't said that it was a fraudulent deal. And we also had a lady that just testified in regards to what the Brunson case was all about. And so she started naming names, and then there's a couple of things. I'm going to send it to you, Dave, because I just got it, and in her testimony that she did yesterday. So it's going to be it's interesting how this is all playing out.
Jeff, didn't I recently hear that they found that 300,000 sheets of ballot paper had been stolen or misplaced?
Yes. They for some reason the paper that the ballots were printed on disappeared, and nobody even filed a police report. Nobody said anything at all, and they wondered why they were.
Did they check Fannie Willis's purse?
Well,
anybody with a printer.
I'm sorry.
Anybody with a printer could then
Dave Weinbaum.
Exactly.
People find and contribute. Do it again.
Go to Jeff Zink or go to thinkzink.vote and hit the donate page for somebody who's going to cause a lot of problems in Washington, D.C.
All right. Hear about the astronaut who missed a meal? He had a failure to lunch.
Oh, you're the one.
Hey, all of my jokes worked out. How about that? That's the most important thing that happened here today. No, let's get our contributions into our people who are trying to save this country, please. Okay, and I got 40 seconds. Thank you, guys. Thanks to all my guests. Sorry about the songs. It is my first day on YouTube. I probably got kicked off with some other reason. I don't know. Who cares? I'm going to keep doing this until I have no listeners at all. But I think we did very well today, and we're starting to have some momentum here. We're starting to have this. We're getting better gigs. We're moving up, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So knowing that, I'm going to have another show next Friday. Be there or be square. Thanks. Have a great Labor Day weekend.